That breaking news, a Spectrum utility worker continuing to fight for their life this afternoon after a robber shot them in the neck while on the job. Thanks for joining us here at noon. I'm Kelly Rippin.
I'm Stephen Albert, and this happened at about 5 this morning on North Fred Shuttlesworth Circle in Avondale. Breaking news during our morning show. And that's where you find WLWT News 5's Aaron Thomas with the very latest on this investigation. Aaron.
Hey, Stephen and Kelly, you know, this is an experience that no employee wants to go through on the job, and that's experiencing some sort of violent attack. We're told by neighbors that it did happen in this vicinity along this roadway at around 5 this morning, and at last check with police, that suspect or suspects are still on the run. As we show you this active video, you can see how active this scene was at about 5 this morning. Officers found the victim suffering from a gunshot wound to the neck. Investigators say the suspect shot the worker after that worker gave them items during a robbery. Now, the shooting has neighbors who live on this street shaken. One man says one of the gunshots woke him up from his sleep, and this active crime scene prevented him from being able to go to work.
It's not a good thing. I mean, it's sad. I feel sad for the family of the person. And like I said, I hope the person pulls through, and I hope that justice is done on the other end.
Now, that victim was taken to UC Medical Center with life-threatening injuries. Police have not gone into detail about the circumstances leading up to the shooting. As for the suspect or suspect vehicle, they didn't give us a description of a person that they're looking for, but they did say that they're looking for a person that was driving a blue SUV, but they did not say a make or model. Live in Avondale, Aaron Thomas, WLWT News 5.
Aaron, obviously a very frightening situation all the way around. How is Spectrum responding to this attack on one of its employees?
Yeah, you know, it's certainly hard when any sort of employer has to go through something like this. Spectrum did share a statement with WLWT, which reads in part, I can share that with you. It says, our thoughts are with our colleague and their family at this time. We are saddened and concerned by the violent attack on one of our team members who was working to keep customers connected. Of course, this is a story we're going to be following throughout the day. I am currently working to speak with different utility workers, different unions on some of the dangers that they go through each and every day and some of the precautions they like to take. You can catch me live on WLWT News 5 beginning at 4. Stephen?
Aaron, thank you so much. Live for us in Avondale. We appreciate it.
You keep it going, man. You keep those books rolling. You pick up all those books that you're going to read and not remember, and you roll, man. You get that associate's degree, okay? Then you get your bachelor's. Then you get your master's. Then you get your master's. Then you get your doctorate. You go, man. And then when everybody says quit, you show them those degrees, man. When everyone says, hey, you're not working, you're not making any money, you say, you look at my degrees and you look at my life. Yeah, I'm 52. So what? Hate all you want, but I'm smart. I'm so smart. And I'm in school. These guys out here making money all these ways, and I'm spending mine to be smart. You know why? Because when I die, buddy, you know what's going to keep me warm? That's right, those degrees.
Summer break is when college students can finally exhale after a long school year. But if they just wrapped up their final year in school, they might still be holding their breath. Graduates in the class of 2026 are navigating an unusually weak labor market, where unemployment for young workers aged 22 to 27 has risen at nearly double the rate of the rise in overall unemployment. That's according to an analysis from the Economic Policy Institute over the last 3 years. The National Association of Colleges and Employers found that less than half of the class of 2026 graduated with a job. Some are working jobs that don't require a college degree or internships that they really hope will turn into a job, or are just sitting out the job market for another few years with grad school. We wanted to hear from a few 2026 grads to see how they're faring since walking across the stage, degree in hand.
My name's Amber Cherry. I'm 22 years old, and I studied English, and then I had minors in film and tech ethics and society. Right now, I'm working on a movie as a locations PA. So that's basically just helping look over the different locations that we'll be shooting, and a lot of kind of grunt work moving around traffic cones, and I think I get a fluorescent vest next week. So that's what I'm doing for the next month. It's hard for me to make plans because I have no plan. Plans with friends, traveling, etc. Kind of hard to do when you don't know when your next job might start up or if they'll need you like on the spot, especially in the entertainment industry. And so right now I'm in Nashville, Tennessee, which is my hometown. Sometimes when I'm home, I start to revert back to the habits that I had when I lived here, you know, or like a little bit of my 17-year-old self starts to come out. I've kind of heard online or just in public discourse of like, no one wants to work anymore, but that's kind of all we want to do. Everyone I know is begging like, please give me a job. And we're not begging for like big jobs. We're begging for entry-level jobs. I know a lot of people in my generation can be afraid to like call people, but we've had to get over that, even though that's like the last thing my generation wants to do is call someone on the phone.
To me, it still feels like, you know, I'm going through the motions, like I'm still experiencing my summer. I think it's really going to hit in August when everyone starts going back to school and it's like, okay, like I'm genuinely working. So I think for me, it's kind of just been a fever dream. I definitely enjoy knowing that I don't have any more homework for a while. My name is Gabby Matthews. I studied business management and I graduated from Howard University, class of 2026. I'm currently located in New Jersey, but I also like work in New York. So right now I work within like the merchandising realm. So I'm currently a buyer trainee. I have family that lives in New Jersey, luckily. So I'm commuting from a relative's house, staying until I find something more permanent. The first thing we learned at Howard was the opportunities that you want are absolutely accessible to you, and you have to put the work in to get what you want out of it. Seeing my classmates, you know, get internships in their freshman and sophomore year is definitely something that inspired me to really work hard and be a go-getter and make sure I had something by at least junior year, you know, going to the job fairs. Got to a point I had an Excel sheet set up and like just reflecting back on all the things that I applied to compared to what I even heard back from, and then also just like the process of like hearing back and going through interviews. It can be very difficult. A lot of people weren't able to get return offers, not only return offers, but like jobs. I know a lot of people going to grad school, and the job market is absolutely crazy right now.
My name is Eric Almala. I graduated with my bachelor's degree in computer science. I finally got a call back about a return offer for a probationary internship, so it's not even full-time just yet. Like most people, I want a high-paying job, right, that, you know, it's stable. And computer science for a while was, you know, coded to be that easily, you know, make six figures, have a stable, nice job. Out of my limited friend group, like 20, 30%, you know, have that offer. 70% are in this weird limbo where we're kind of just waiting. My family is willing to let me live with them, so it's pretty tight. So my life's been pretty nice. College life, I need to get this job, and nothing takes higher priority than getting this job. But now that I'm kind of on this probation period and, you know, on the track to get the job, I feel a lot more at ease. You know, I've been doing things I enjoy more, I guess, instead of doing, for example, leak code or interview prep or, you know, catching up on whatever is the hype for Gen AI technology. Given the field and what I'm working on specifically, like, I'm very much so getting exposed every day that, like, oh yeah, they could for sure fire me today. I did go into mathematics because I thought that would be safe, but my truly honest to God major I wanted to do was psychology. I genuinely really loved the classes I took, and I was hoping to do that for bachelor's, but even with how horrible it is now, I think I appreciate the fact that I could get a job at all.
Voices from the class of 2026. That was Amber Cherry in Nashville, Gabriella Ann Matthews in New Jersey, and Eric Ahumadan in Los Angeles, California. Their stories were produced by Danica Louise Pineda.
But first, for many Indian students, studying in America is seen as the first step towards building a successful career in the US. It gives students the hope of living the American dream. But for one person, that dream ended much sooner than expected. Mohit R. Gowda shared his emotional journey on LinkedIn after returning to India without securing a job in the US.
A chapter ended differently than I had imagined. After completing my master's in computer science in the United States, I dreamed of starting my career there. Like many international students, I believed that years of hard work, sleepless nights, and countless sacrifices would lead to that opportunity. Reality was different.
According to Gowda, who spent months applying for hundreds of jobs, he prepared for interviews, completed coding assessments, and kept improving his skills. But despite putting in significant effort, he was unable to secure a role before his visa timeline required him to leave the country.
Coming back to Bengaluru, India wasn't part of my original plan. It was a difficult decision, one filled with disappointment, uncertainty, and the feeling that I had fallen short of the dream I had worked so hard for.
In his post, he also reflected on the financial toll as he watched his savings fast disappear while searching for jobs in the US. Well, despite the setbacks, he refused to let the experience define him. Rather than dwelling on what went wrong, he's now focused on building the next chapter of his life. His honest post, though, quickly attracted widespread attention on social media. The comments section was filled with supportive messages from people amplifying the post by resharing it, to social media users doing what they can to support him. Gowda's story also focuses on an important reality facing many international graduates in the US today, that earning a degree abroad no longer guarantees employment, especially in a challenging global job market. The US tech job market remains under pressure as companies continue to pull back on post-pandemic hiring while pouring record investments into artificial intelligence. American tech firms have laid off around 170,000 workers this year alone, according to industry trackers. Meanwhile, overall job vacancies remains below post-pandemic highs, with the latest US Bureau of Labor Statistics data showing around 7.6 million job openings. Now that's down from more than 12 million in 2022. For years, a US degree was seen as a ticket to the American dream. But today that dream is becoming far more uncertain as tech hiring slows and companies prioritize AI expansion. International graduates are finding that the biggest challenge begins after graduation. Because a degree can open opportunities, but in a world where companies are using AI to reshape the job market, even the most qualified graduates like Mohit R. Gowda are facing an uncertain future.
Yeah, that was the summertime, but you know what comes with the summertime.
And a lot of us are staying cool by working inside. That is not the case for everyone.
Yeah, some people can't escape the heat because they make their living working outside. That includes construction workers and first responders.
Our Claudia Nichols is tracking the heat's toll.
And Claudia, firefighters have been responding to heat emergencies.
That's right, Lenise and Cameron. From possible heat-related fires to people overcome by the heat, calls for help aren't unexpected. Tonight, we're taking a closer look at how this heat wave is affecting people who work outside. The heat is bearing down on the Gulf Coast, and for some people, there is no escaping it. With daytime highs near 100 degrees, outdoor workers, including these firefighters, are being urged to take extra precautions.
We don't have any problem with you not going in and fighting a fire if you're not comfortable. We want to make sure your health is the most important thing going into a fire, because without you, we can't put anything down. Battalion
Chief with Bell Forest Volunteer Fire Department, Ethan Bertignoli, helped battle this warehouse fire in Daphne on Tuesday. He says extreme heat can make an already dangerous job even more difficult.
At Bell Forest, and I can guarantee you at Daphne, they take very good care of themselves. 10 minutes in, 10 minutes out. If you need a break, you're cut off.
Firefighters are also responding to heat-related medical calls.
Rescue 3, engine 21. heat exposure.
This was the scene Wednesday morning in downtown Mobile. Police say multiple people at a construction site at the former YMCA on Water Street suffered heat exhaustion. Investigators say 5 people were treated at the scene and 4 were taken to the hospital. Mobile Fire Rescue spokesman Stephen Millhouse says avoiding the heat when possible is a good defense.
If you don't have to be outside, we don't recommend being outside. If you can stay in a cooled environment, as long as you can, do so.
But for people who make their living working outside, staying out of the hot weather isn't always an option. A construction worker at an outdoor site offers some advice to avoid overheating.
Stay cool and know your limits. You know, don't try to do too much. There's always tomorrow. It'll still be here tomorrow. So let's just stay safe.
EMS Education Coordinator Vicki LeMay says it's important to know how heat and humidity can affect your body.
When it's really humid, that sweat sticks to your skin and it creates like an oven effect, so it makes you hotter quicker.
Experts say the warning signs can escalate quickly, from heavy sweating and dizziness to confusion or loss of consciousness. If you or someone else show signs of heat illness, get to a cool place, start cooling down, and call 911 if symptoms are severe.
I thought I asked for an African American to replace Terry.
You requested an Afro-American?
African American. Jerry, you know I did. I put it in writing.
I didn't see it. You see it?
If you don't like her, you send her back.
Yeah, you tell her you didn't like her performance because she was white.
What? That's not the point.
Flipper, she's been here for 5 minutes. Give her a chance. This sounds dangerously like reverse discrimination to me.
Houston's decades-old program awarding city contracts to minority-owned businesses is ruled unconstitutional. By Adam Zuvanish, a long-standing City of Houston program requiring some government contracts to be awarded to minority-owned businesses was ruled unconstitutional Tuesday by a federal judge. U.S. Judge David Hittner ruled in favor of a white couple who sued the city and a city-affiliated management district in 2023, claiming their local landscaping businesses faced racial discrimination because of the Municipal Contracting Initiative created in 1984. Hittner determined the race-conscious portion of the Minority, Women and Small Business Enterprise Program violates the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. Gerald and Teresa Thompson, the owners of Landscape Consultants of Texas and Metropolitan Landscape Management, filed their lawsuit in the aftermath of a U.S. Supreme Court ruling that struck down affirmative action admissions policies at Harvard University and the University of North Carolina, which, along with colleges all over the country, had used them to prevent racial discrimination and ensure their campuses include Black, Hispanic, and other minority students. Texas legislators also have passed laws in recent years that ban diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives at public schools in the state. Hittner wrote in court documents that the Houston case addresses an unresolved issue of constitutional law. Equal protection means equal protection for everyone, not preferential treatment for some, said Aaron Wilcox of the Pacific Legal Foundation, a national nonprofit that represented the Houston couple. The 14th Amendment guarantees every business owner the same shot at a government contract, regardless of race. This is a victory not just for the Thompsons, but for every business owner who believes government contracts should be won on merit. A spokesperson for Houston Mayor John Whitmire, along with attorneys representing the city in the case, did not immediately respond to requests for comment. In a statement, U.S. Rep. Christian Menefee, D. Houston, said the ruling is yet another step by far-right activists, like the lawyers who filed this case, fighting to erase every tool minority and women business owners used to compete on a level playing field. They've fought to end diversity programs in our colleges, at corporations, and in government contracts, he added. It's a shame, and the Supreme Court of the United States has cleared the way for it to happen in ending affirmative action and gutting the Voting Rights Act. Hittner noted that his ruling applies only to the race-based aspects of the city business program and a similar initiative utilized by the Midtown Management District, which also was sued. The Management District's leadership is appointed by the mayor and city council. The city and management district can continue to ensure that small and women-owned businesses receive government contracts. The Houston City Council considered amending its minority-owned business program in 2025 in response to the lawsuit, as well as a study that found Asian and Hispanic-owned businesses did not face disparities in certain categories of city spending. Black-owned businesses faced disparities across all spending categories, the study found. The council ended up voting to accept the study results while continuing the program without making any changes, along with establishing a veteran-owned small business certification program. Regarding the proposed changes at the time, Whitmire said, "If we don't have this consensus going forward as we go to court to defend the entire program, it will be in jeopardy." So that was certainly a consideration. Get ready for court, because we have individuals in society that would end the program totally, and obviously we cannot tolerate that.
Let me say something that gets to the very crux of the matter, and this may be offensive for some to hear who are not on the side that we're on. White people, we have been the problem for 400 years.
Say that again.
Let me say it one more time for those of you who didn't hear me. White people, we have been the problem for 400 years.
Only when word got out that was out of the city manager's control, that's when we started to find out about some sort of accountability being taken.
That's the voice of Holly Alvarez, a member of Golden's Race, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Task Force, who says they were not notified after a racist incident at the Golden Fire Department in March of this year.
Denver 7's Colette Bordelon has been digging into this story for several days now. Colette, talk to us about what happened, and also how have you been trying to hold the city accountable on this?
Well, originally I had an interview scheduled today with the city manager where we were going to discuss all of the questions I have, but then he called me yesterday and said instead of sitting down and answering those questions about what I was hearing, he would let the prepared statement being read at City Council last night speak for itself.
We are going to get started. It is 6:30.
Tuesday is the first time the city of Golden publicly addressed something that happened months ago.
There was a horrible racist incident that happened in the Golden Fire Department.
A doll designed to look like a Snoop Dogg version of an Elf on the Shelf was hung by a rope around its neck inside of a fire station stairwell in March of this year.
The doll should never have been brought into any city facility, and the display evoked a horrific history of racial terror and violence.
The city quietly held their own investigation and say they brought in culture, equity, and inclusion training throughout the fire department as a result. But after employees from other departments learned what happened late last week, they realized their response did not go far enough.
The employee responsible for the act is no longer employed by the City of Golden Fire Department.
That's Mayor Laura Weinberg reading a prepared statement where she also announced an independent investigation into the incident.
We failed our employees. We failed members of our community. We failed to meet the standard of respect and professionalism that every person deserves.
We got word from an anonymous staff member about a listening session being held by the city manager on Wednesday, but we were quickly turned away.
It's just for staff. This is a place for staff to get to speak how they're feeling to each other.
So we went to meet with a member of the city's Race, Equity, Diversion, and Inclusion Task Force, Holly Alvarez.
This was not handled at the time of the incident when the figurine was found with a noose around its neck.
The city called it a rope. You called it a noose. Why is that?
I call it a noose because of what it represents. A black man with a noose around his neck in the United States of America is very apparently making a statement.
She says the task force was not notified in March about the racist incident.
We should have been a first stop. The public are actually, and the news media, are actually the ones that are forcing the conversation.
A conversation started at City Council.
Something harmful occurred within our community. Our response was not sufficient. We are sorry, and we are committed to doing better.
And a conversation that's far from over. I have filed Open Records Act requests to learn more about that initial investigation the city conducted into this incident. Once we get those results, I'll let you know what we find out. Live in the studio, Colette Bordelon, Denver 7.
I want to also talk about, in this case, they talked about mental health, but also gun control. And we have to begin to understand I say you can't understand the gun mania if you don't understand racism and white supremacy. The gun is the answer to conscious and or subconscious, the answer, the response to the white collective feeling they can be genetically annihilated by black genetic material. And the gun is a great equalizer. I encourage everybody to get a copy of the ISIS papers and read.
One of those cameras set up by a vendor at the festival captured part of the shooting and the panic that set in when people realized what was going on. Fox 13's Jennifer Dowling joining us from the Seattle Center with more details on that video. And Jennifer, you're also what can you tell us, Jennifer?
Well, out here at the memorial, it's been growing steadily over the past few days. You can see all the flowers and the candles that people have left behind, along with tributes. We did talk to that victim who was shot in the leg tonight. She says she's doing okay despite her injuries. We also obtained video showing the scary situation that she found herself in. A camera at Masai's Teriyaki was live streaming during the Bite of Seattle when the deadly shots started ringing out Sunday. You can hear the gunfire popping off very close to the food stand. Then people start running and screaming. The video shows people fleeing in a panic. Then you see police rush towards the danger from the opposite way. I spoke to one of the victims who was injured in that terrifying shooting, Victoria Uoni, by phone. She sent me these photos of her at the Bite of Seattle that were taken just prior to the shooting. She says she was in front of the Vietnamese coffee and tea stand when the bullet started flying and was hit in the right leg. She says she's not able to walk very well and is with her family healing.
It was felt so real because I didn't know that it would happen so close to me.
Meantime, Veni Vassima, who's visiting from Europe for the summer, says she was in the area when the shooting happened. She came to pay her respects at the memorial site by the International Fountain this evening.
I'm just visiting here for the summer, and I didn't know it could happen so near me, and it was crazy, yeah.
And there have been vigils here over the past few days. Another one is scheduled for tomorrow night at around 6:30 here at the International Fountain. Reporting live in Seattle, Jennifer Dowling, Fox 13 News.
And the shooting has certainly had an impact on the vendors who were at the Bite of Seattle this weekend. KIRO 7's Brooke Griffin spoke with vendors who say they don't have time to dwell on what happened.
For many of the vendors who were here at Bite of Seattle, festivals are their livelihood. They say they can't take time off for a traumatic event. They have to set up to sell again this weekend.
I try to hide out in the back of the fridge, then with my coworker and her mom. So, because I'm scared, because there's a gun.
The chaos of that shooting is over. The rows of abandoned food are in the trash and the tents are broken down. But business owners say they'll never forget the fear of being caught in the crossfire.
I sleep last night 3 hours, then I woke up. So I hear a gun, then I try to sleep again.
The Nana's Food Bites crew says they're coping the best that they can.
I try to busy. Work.
He tells us they'll try to rest this week, but really can't afford to take time off.
Yeah, it's too hard. We need to rest 1 week only, then go back again. Yeah, because there's a lot of event this coming August.
He says they have to work this weekend to get back all the money they lost.
Just throw away everything. Yeah, there's a lot of food waste.
How much is that going to cost?
Maybe, for me, $500 to $1,000.
On top of the money that was stolen.
Yeah.
Many of the vendors all told us the same thing. They're lucky revenue is all that they lost.
We're glad we're still alive.
In Seattle, Brooke Griffin, KIRO 7 News.
25 shell casings, a targeted victim, and a suspect tracked down within minutes.
Yeah, so new details are emerging today in a deadly workplace shooting there in Mason. Our Karen Johnson live now with what we've learned. Hi, Karen.
Hey, Cherie. Yeah, we've learned quite a bit today that the alleged shooter and the victim knew each other for about 3 to 4 weeks prior to the shooting, both through work and also briefly socially. Still, prosecutors say there was no known dispute that would have put employees on alert before the shooting.
A brief job, a short-lived friendship, and now the big question. What happened during the few weeks David Cohen knew the man prosecutors say he later targeted?
Absolutely believe he was the intended target.
29-year-old Vincent Stetzel, a father of 4, was killed last Wednesday while working at Carter Lumber in Mason. In court today, a Mason detective testified about what was recovered from the crime scene.
At the scene, approximately 25 shell casings were recovered. The victim had multiple gunshot wounds apparent on their body.
Other employees quickly identified the suspect as Cohen because he had worked at the business for about a week, then quit the weekend before the shooting.
Police were able to then input that information, and so they were getting hits on flock cameras within 10 minutes of when this incident happens.
He was arrested on 275 in Springdale.
Hey, drop the gun out the car already.
Prosecutors say Cohen and Stetzel did know each other through a social setting prior to Cohen working at Carter Lumber.
My understanding is they've known each other for about 3 weeks prior to the incident. 3 to 4 weeks prior to the incident.
But as for a motive,
we're still looking into motive issues. That's something that obviously everybody is wanting to know, and we're not there yet in terms of being able to disclose that information.
And the detective did say in court today that the gun found on Cohen at the scene when he was arrested, they believe it was the one that was used in the shooting. Now, Fornshell described Cohen's resignation as innocuous and said there wasn't any concern on part of the business or any of the employees that something like this would happen. Reporting live in Mason tonight, Karen Johnson, WLWT News 5.
Karen, can you walk us through what came out of that hearing today?
Yeah, this was supposed to be a preliminary hearing and a no bond hearing. Cohen did waive his right to a preliminary hearing, so now the case goes directly to a grand jury. As far as the no bond hearing, the judge did side in favor of prosecutors, and Cohen will be held without bond.
All right, Karen Johnson, all over it from the beginning. Karen, thanks so much for the update.
All right, Ron, thank you. Our top story now, a Memphis Taco Bell employee accused of pouring boiling water on her coworker, causing second-degree burns all over his body. The young man is home from the hospital tonight and just spoke with Action News 5's Joyce Peterson. She's live with details about the attack. Joyce.
18-year-old Chris Jones has second-degree burns across multiple parts of his body, burns so severe he had to have surgery at Regional 1's burn unit. Tonight, both Chris and Memphis police say that playful banter with a coworker quickly turned into a vicious attack.
I see my skin just leaving, like sliding on my body.
18-year-old Taco Bell employee Chris Jones has second-degree burns on both thighs, his stomach, and both arms. His 19-year-old coworker, Michaela Henderson, is charged with aggravated assault, accused of pouring boiling water on him last Saturday.
She says she's going to do it to customers if they come up there. And so she just plays around with it, you know, like somebody says, I'm going to beat you up if you feel me? Like, she plays around with it, so I didn't think she was serious at first.
The teens work at the Taco Bell at 5320 Knight Arnold. The Memphis police report says they were engaged in playful banter prior to the incident. She threw his shirt in the trash. He hid her iPad. Her irritation soon boiled over.
We used to be friends. Like, not gonna lie, we used to be close friends, but Chris just started, liking me. He started saying weird, inappropriate things to me that I did not like.
Police say Henderson poured a pot of boiling water into Jones' lap as he sat in the restaurant lobby.
More blisters are popping up, then the skin is just coming off. The skin came off. It's red, and it's going to take a little time for it to heal.
Henderson was arrested Wednesday and released on a $5,000 bond. She told investigators she blacked out before the incident.
I'm currently going to anger management classes, and I don't know what's going to happen so far until the case get done.
Jones now faces a long, painful recovery.
Imagine if it was your sister or your brother or your mother or grandmother, somebody, that somebody did this to. You want justice the same way,
She threw boiling hot water on somebody. You have to have punishable actions no matter if you blacked out or not.
All right, as part of her release, Henderson was ordered to take that anger management class. She is due back in court August 27th. Reporting live in Memphis tonight, Joyce Peterson, Action News 5.
Ernest Withers
rolling over in his Memphis grave. Black and I'm proud. Context of white supremacy. Gus T. Renegade, the worthless Negro from Virginia, in for another broadcast, hopefully to share constructive information on the global system of white supremacy. Today's date, Thursday, July 30, 2026. So I have been told. Our weekly broadcast, not for spectators, neutralizing workplace racism. If you have figured out suggestions, tips, counter-racist codification that would aid non-white people, people classified as black, help them make it home safely, help them avoid a shootout, help them avoid having their genitals scalded before they get back to their residence. Any suggestions, tips? Same thing I've been saying. If you started out the work week, really your work career, 2 eyeballs, 10 fingers, 10 toes. By the time we get to the end, I want all 22. All my toes, all my fingers, my eyeballs that I started with, I got them at the end of the work week. I got them at the end of my career. Still looking good. If you have any tips that would help with that, maybe even, hey, all 24, because I mean, hey, you don't scald my genitals in the workplace. If you have suggestions, the number 720-716-7300, the code 564-943#. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Number again, 720-716-7300, the code 564-943#. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. The email untiljustice@gmail.com. untiljustice@gmail.com. Drop an email. Let us know if you have thoughts, observations, especially if you would prefer to remain anonymous. untiljustice@gmail.com. Before we get to the emails, callers, some of the news reports that we heard at the beginning, the email campaign for Sade C. Robinson. This past Saturday, I requested everybody, not a few people, everybody, if you are interested in replacing white supremacy with justice, if you have heard the name Sade C. Robinson at any time in your existence, if you have, I said 15 minutes, if you have 15 minutes just to help out, see if we can reveal truth. We talk all the time about how white people in the workplace and beyond deliberately conceal constructive information from non-white people, victims of white supremacy. This is a current live-time illustration and something that we can do something about. We can counter this right now. They are deliberately holding sealed records, have been since the trial concluded last summer. Letters of support for Maxwell Anderson, convicted murderer, race soldier. They are holding those sealed records and the voir dire transcript of the jury selection process. How did we end up with only 2 black people on the jury? They are holding that. These are public records. I'd said this past weekend we will email until Friday. That's the deadline for the sealed records. So we'll see what happened. Oh no, they have been so trifling. They have been so deceptive, willfully deceptive. In Wisconsin, even the Voltron effect in terms of white people covering for other white people's lies and helping them to conceal information. Hey, we don't even have Sade C. Robinson's skull. So, the email campaign, it will not end today. I will be requesting, let us email until we have all of the records. The correct emails. We did have one problem. I'm not in Wisconsin, so sometimes it can be a little difficult with white people to get all of the correct emails. Oh, but we have them. I posted them online. I will share them quickly. And this is an easy one because I said 15 minutes. Hey, if you are proficient, if it's not asking too much, the letter is already written. I have it posted online. I said you can drop me an email untiljustice@gmail.com. I will happily send you the pre-written letter. Again, this is all G-rated and professional. We're not cursing and filth-flooring and none of that. Just professionally release the records. Public records reveal truth. Shot justice for Sade C. Robinson. Hey. Anyway, the letter is already written. If you have already emailed, you can forward and send it again, because I think that might be one that would take less than 60 seconds. All you'd have to do is copy and paste the emails. They're on my social media. Might take a few minutes. If you need to write them down, I will give them to you now. It's 4 emails. You can send them to Stephanie Garbo, STEPHANIE .Garbo, GARBO at WI-Courts, COURTS.gov. She is the District Court Administrator, suspected racist. Email number 2, Holly, HOLLY SZABLEWSKI at WICourts.gov. Again, that would be COURTS.gov. She is the Assistant Court Administrator. Suspected racist. Last 2 addresses, Carl, CARL Ashley, ASHLEY at WICourts.gov. Chief Judge. I think some people may have already emailed Carl Ashley. Feel free to email again. Suspected racist Carl Ashley. And the last address, CRS.MILWAUKEE, CRS.Milwaukee at WICourts.gov. That is Court Reporting Services. I said I was just going to stop and ask you all to email until Friday. Oh no, they want to be trifling. Hey, you can be real easy on your counter-racist grind for Sade C. Robinson here. And again, this is not just idle. Her mother, Sheena Scarborough, still has a pending civil trial. This is not aimless. This is very much connected to revealing truth, justice for Sade C. Robinson. All you have to do, bing, drop an email. If you already sent, forward. I said this doesn't even take 15 minutes. I said if you are proficient at signing your name, writing the date, and sending an email to more than one person on the same send, if you can do that pretty proficiently, you could probably do this in less than 5 minutes. Real easy. Gus T doesn't get a nickel. Don't think, hey, every email you send, you get $5. He's trying to get some money. Document public records about why 19-year-old Sade C. Robinson was killed. We still don't have her skull. And white people in Wisconsin felt the need to write letters of support for the race soldier who did all this. We need all that. We need all that. Everybody who emailed, robust gratitude. I'm sure Ms. Scarborough would thank you as well. I certainly appreciate it. Again, if you already emailed, you can send more than one email. And if you have not, if you missed the deadline, didn't hear it, today's your first time hearing about it, hey, bravo. Send that email. The PDF of the letter is on social media. Feel free to drop me an email if you need it. I will send it to you immediately. Justice for Sade Robinson. That's it. Rest of the program, we're all labor. We can please stay focused on labor. I know black people, we are not serious about replacing white supremacy with justice, and a part of our lack of seriousness, we are not focused. We seem to have a very difficult time focusing on one thing. Get to the book club, we want to talk about everything but the book. Talk about every book but the book we're reading. This is labor. This is not a general purpose discussion about racism, the cows, Gus T. We are only talking about labor, and even our unwillingness or refusal or cowardice around addressing this topic, that's a part of how you end up with scald genitals in the workplace. All of that said, I really had no intention of coming on this here broadcast and talking about, hey, don't you touch my black balls. Don't you boil my black balls. I didn't have no intention of coming on and talking about nothing like that. Stay away from around my nether regions. I didn't have no intentions of talking about nothing like that. Gus T, I have been a proud 206er. Seattle tough for we have been on for 17 years. Gus T has been in Seattle for the full 17 years. Now, yes, for a period here and there, I have lived outside of Seattle proper, but I mean, I ain't lived in Spokane. None of that. For people who don't know Washington State, get out your map on your phone and you'll see, oh wow, Spokane is on the other side of Washington State. I haven't been over there, you know. I might have moved a little bit out here, a little bit out there, but I have never been far enough away from Seattle where I was not, even when I didn't live in Seattle proper, where I was not coming through here on a regular basis, hanging out, grocery shopping, all the rest of it. I mean, just 206. My phone area code has been 206 for years. I mean, just, you can go back and listen to the archives. 206 through, and I have bragged about living in Seattle, going to the different beach, Green Lake, Richmond Beach, which technically is not Seattle, but what, and that's the type of thing that I mean. That shoreline, but I mean, it's King County. Like, come on. Mary Kay Letourneau, you know, Jesus Christ. I've talked about Seattle for years, even the beaches I don't like, Alki Beach and all the rest of, like, it's lame over there and all the rest of, like, man, the University of Washington, haven't I talked about Seattle for all these years? Quincy Jones. And I said, this is the best plantation. Now, I don't say city, I've said for you, best plantation. Man, them days is over. I had said that before we got to the bite of Seattle shooting that happened at Seattle Center, right under the flipping Space Needle. I had been saying this prior to, really, I just said you could just take a walk up the Ave, as it is affectionately known. Technically, it is University Way is the technical name of the street, but it is called the Ave by everybody in Seattle and has been for many decades. I don't even know if I've heard anybody actually call it University Way. Anyway, they should just rename it. Anyway, but this is like 2 blocks over from the University of Washington, flagship university of the state of Washington. This specific campus, student body plus 60,000. How many of you all in your state even have a university that has a student body that big? I suspect a lot of you all know. Massive campus, okay? Massive student body. So 2 blocks over from all of that is the Ave. I had just casually was riding down the Ave, hadn't really been paying attention. The Ave has never been known as like the safest place and crime-free. That has never been the case. Like, it's always been, oh man, you got to be careful over there, because they got lots of drug sales and transients and drunk white college students. Lots of dangers. But man, I went up the Ave, so I'm going up the Strip, and I'm just kind of casually looking out the window like, wait a minute. So the Starbucks closed. Starbucks is founded here in Seattle and all of that. So the Starbucks closed, the movie theater closed, the Target closed, the Jack in the Box closed. I'm just like, what? Some of this stuff had closed, a little bit earlier. Some of this stuff is very recent, and kind of they've all said the same thing. It's crime and security issues and all the rest. That movie theater had been here for a very long time. That was kind of like whoa, that's, a fixture of the Ave and all the rest of it. It's like, wow, like that is, I don't know if I'm sending my child and then we go over now. And now all of this stuff closed. The dispensary is thriving. Vape shops, even one of the drug stores closed, replaced by a vape shop. Anyway, when I looked at all that, I said, man, this does not look like something to brag about. Like, Jesus Christ. And I've been saying since COVID-19, like, oh man, they had said it was going to take 5-6 years for the city to recover, because downtown Seattle was awful before all of this. Some people by map, they do not count Seattle Center as downtown Seattle. Gusty is not one of those people. I count Seattle Center, where the Space Needle is. All of that is downtown Seattle. Why do you say that, Gus T? Well, if you rewind 6 months to the Super Bowl parade. Oh, it's not even 6 months. It's 5 months. Rewind 5 months to the February Super Bowl parade in Seattle. They rode very slowly from the stadium where the Seahawks play and where the FIFA tournament just was, all the way to Seattle Center where the shooting just happened. Some people walked and some people drove very slowly. Now, that alone tells you it can't be that far. It's not. All of that basically is downtown. I have said for the entire time I have known about the 206 and Seattle, downtown is kind of dangerous. Has been forever. I have even said, like, man, when COVID happened, because they had the shutdown in Washington State and they had the riots about George Floyd and all that here, which is way far from Minnesota, and they had the CHAZ, the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, where they were killing black dudes left and right. Man, that is for an area that was already dangerous. I have never been more afraid than when I went to downtown Seattle during all of that. I do not think there has been any sort of recovery, and it's better and it's safer. Like, oh my God, I hate going downtown. I've said that, but I hate going downtown. I hate being in downtown Seattle any time of day. 8 o'clock in the morning, high noon, 1 p.m. I don't care. Like, oh, it's so many dangers down there. It's been dangerous forever. Even just businesses even just talk about just give up. Can't do it. I'm out of here. Forget it. Let it just go to the jungle. Man, and in fact, I just mentioned the Super Bowl parade. I was contemplating, hey, we win Super Bowl all the time. Maybe I'll go to the parade this time. I didn't go when Russell Wilson and them got it. Marshawn Lynch and them. I'll go this time. Cal's investor. Said, didn't they have the shooting at the Super Bowl parade not too long ago? My man, Pat Mahomes, he had to go and jump behind the cars and hide. I said, oh yeah, that did happen. And said, dang, it happened in Denver too. Or my man, Nikola Jokic, the same thing. He got to jump and hide. Oh my Lord, they're going to kill us. I started, and then I looked at the Seattle Times newspaper and they said, every SPD officer, you are called to duty to be downtown to keep us safe for the parade. I said, woof, I think that's going to do it. Like any other time, if they said they're going to call every armed white man to an area, why would I think I will be safer? I'm going to watch this on TV. And I did. Now, I don't remember them having any incidents, any violence, fisticuffs, shooting. I think the Super Bowl parade was pretty safe in February, but I did think something like this could easily happen during all that because there's so many people are intoxicated, and they act a fool downtown all the time anyway. This time around, at Seattle Center, where they were having the Bite of Seattle festival, and they get into, from what's been reported thus far, this was not like a mass shooting event. From what they say, this was some teenagers, one of them allegedly 15 years old, where they had some sort of beef and pulled out pistols and started firing at each other and were hitting bystanders and all the rest of it. At least that's what they're saying at this juncture. I'm sure there will be more to report, but I am not surprised by any of that, and particularly the location. Even, in fact, Seattle Center, I would normally mention Seattle Center because I don't hang out downtown Seattle. I never. In fact, I've been saying the whole summer what I said, the FIFA tournament, I'm not going down there for any of that. It wouldn't have shocked me if something like this had happened in the FIFA tournament. And I know white people here, the mayor and all the rest of them, Mayor Wilson, suspected racist white woman, I know it's got to be, woo. If this foolishness had happened, the FIFA tournament was about 3 weeks ago that it was here. Oh my God. The international incident, if that had happened, and it had been one of the folks who came here from Belgium overseas to cheer on their team, and they done got shot. And they had to warn tourists about the high cannabis. They should have warned them about all the crime and foolishness in Seattle. Oh, I was so embarrassed, and just further confirmation. Yep, not the coolest plantation in the world at all. You can't even reliably go to any events with a large number of people because who knows what might happen. Oh, so pitiful. And all of those non-white vendors. Now, I'm sure they had white vendors there as well, but man, all of those non-white vendors, one, it reminded me of Tops. You heard the speaker on King 5, non-white male. Now, I was there for all of this, and I heard the gunfire. We went and hid in the freezer. I heard that when Peyton Gendron went to shoot up the Tops in Buffalo. That's what they said. Fragrance Harris Stanfield, she told us, came on the program for an interview and said, we went and had to go hide in the storage room in the back. I think they were in the freezer. Had to try and use the emergency exit to get out. I hadn't heard that before. System of white supremacy. Can't have gun control. Particularly Washington State. They love guns. Guns and coffee. They got bumper stickers with that. Guns and coffee. Love that in the 206 in Washington State in general. But you heard the non-white vendors, and even they talked about some of the restaurants that are in the Seattle Center area, that they were pulling people in, and then the double whammy, they were pulling people in for safety, and then the chaos of the situation because there were multiple shooters, they were kind of having to vet people real time to see, is this one of the suspected gunmen who may have come in here for shelter? Man, woof. If you work, particularly I would say if you work in a high traffic area where they have like large numbers of people and events and all of that, you should ask emergency training, disaster training. What do we do? How do we lock down the facility? How do we get people out safely? How do we get out safely? All of that, especially like I said, if you're in a high traffic, it's lots of people. We're in an area where it might be a convention with hundreds of people and that sort of thing. Like, hey, anything might happen. And it's a little too frequently at this point. What do we do so that we can make quality decisions if there is an emergency and people are in a panic and fear for our lives? Now, you even get to the economics of that as well. Now, one, hey, we hope we got out with our life. Most important. You heard folks saying we lost $500,000 just in one swoop. Maybe had equipment damaged with all the mad rush of people trying to evacuate the area. Some people said that because they had to scamper for their lives, some people, they left their registers and what have you, so all their cash was stolen. People vacate the area and, while I'm running, grab that. They don't need that, And then on top of that, the food, if they're out, bite of Seattle, if they're out selling food and have all of that food spoiled, supposed to be sales and all that, to hear lots of non-white vendors say, we cannot afford to take time off for trauma. People were killed in our presence. I think they said 3 fatalities at this point. We could have been killed. We cannot take time to recover, counseling, try to just rest, process what happened. We got to make that money back, get right back out there, and go right back to work. And some of them folks might have to come back to Seattle Center. That's where the Space Needle is. I'm sure they were saying it's conventions all month long in August. That's peak summer. That's when they have this is a tourist town. They have all kinds of conventions and local events that go on all throughout the summer. Victor, same thing I've said before. If you are an entrepreneur, doesn't mean you don't experience racism, white supremacy anymore. It just changes how you experience white supremacy, racism. Man, I'm an entrepreneur. I don't even have time to go for grief counseling. Some of the folks said I wasn't even able to sleep last night, which is massively important. And I'm not surprised about that. You can have people get shot and killed in front of you, and I could have got killed or shot. People I work with, we got to go hide in the freezer. I was able to sleep about 3 hours, and I think I heard gunshots, which doesn't surprise me at all for Seattle. I think I heard gunshots. I had to wait. I didn't know if I needed to go hide in the freezer again. Still got to go back out and work. Got them conventions coming to town. Total, and Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, this kind of what to expect in a system of white supremacy racism where you cannot have so-called gun control. You have to have killing. That's what to do. Got to kill large numbers of non-white people. That is what is modeled. So, hey, anything, you done stepped on my foot. You done looked at me funny. You done bumped into me. We done had a beef about whatever. I got to pull out my gun and kill you. And if I hit a 15-year-old, I might be 15. We out doing this. Stunning, man. Very sad day for a 206. They've been talking about this, probably be talking about this for a while. I'm waiting to see all of the suspects in this to see if these are white shooters, non-white, all the rest of it. But pitiful through and through. Indictment of white culture, really. That was going to be the lead. Gus T. right here in Seattle. How could I talk about anything else? And then Memphis. Dr. Martin Luther King. I just said Ernest Withers. ME338R Gito. rolling over in his grave. I done went through all that and thinked and spied on black people for all these years and spied on Dr. King, snitched on them to J. Edgar Hoover for it to come to this? Black people engaged in horseplay, teenage black people engaged in horseplay on the job. I got to grab a boiling pot of water and toss it on your genitals. I'm black and I'm proud. Ugh. Man, all black people, Michaela Henderson, Chris Jones, all black people. This pitiful incident right here in Memphis, this is why talk to your offspring about white supremacy, racism, and speak honestly about the workplace. They said something we've talked about all the time. This started horseplay, tomfoolery. Now, these are not 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds. They said that Chris Jones, 18. Michaela Henderson, 19. So they're not old and grizzled and all the rest of it. But that said, we are not talking about elementary school children. We're not talking about folks who are in middle school. 18, 19 years old, you can vote. You can drive a car. You could be drafted and trained to go kill in Iran. Certainly your brain computer is not fully developed at 18, 19, but I mean, dang, there should at minimum, and keeping in mind there are many white and non-white people who engage in this exact same sort of horseplay who are 49, 59, 65, whatever. Absolutely, and we've talked about that before too. All of that said, hey, talk to your teens. I've said that. Summertime, they're going to get a summer job and all of that. You should talk to them about your work experience, and this should be an ongoing conversation. Really, if you are a senior in high school at 17, 18, you should not be in English class playing pranks on your classmates, hiding their backpack, hiding their tablet or whatever. Like, you are about to graduate. You're about to go out and start your career or continue education or whatever you're going to do, could begin your counter-racism or continue your counter-racism studies or whatever you're going to do. Why are you there goofing off, acting like you are in elementary school? What are you doing? When are you going to mature a little bit? Got choked up, excuse me. When are you going to mature a little bit? These are the sort of questions I'd be asking if I had someone who was a little bit younger than all of that and they were still in school, much less you are 18, 19 and working a job. You could be fired for such nonsense. They could come in and say, what, even if the boiling incident hadn't happened, just manager comes in and what? You done threw his shirt in the trash? What? You done threw that? I need some people who are serious. We need chalupas to make. We got guacamole to mix. We got serious things to do here at Taco Bell, and you all in here goofing off or whatever. Go, do whatever you're going to do, man. Go back to school or whatever y'all going to do. If you get serious about work, maybe I'll think about it. But I mean, whoa, we made two bad decisions. We're going to have to let both of y'all go. That could easily happen. Let's be serious. When Fuller said, we, victims of racism, people classified as black, we are silly about things that are serious and serious about things that are silly. If you're on the job, this is a time to be serious. This is not horseplay and all that. And even, as she said, and he liked me and all of that. We're not fraternizing. We're not looking for friends. Even if you work with other people who are classified as black, be courteous. You can be helpful and constructive. This is not, my pal, and we're going to relax and have fun and mess around. I'll hide some of your items and all that. None of that. None of that. Are you rifling through people's personal products and things? None of boundaries. Boundaries like, hey, we are at work. This is just my coworker. We are not homies. We are not friends. And this needs to be stated explicitly so that we have a more serious frame of mind when we're in the workplace. Now, once we get to the boiling, that would be another reason, hey, you have no idea how these individuals behave. If she said, Michaela Henderson, she said she had some sort of anger management problems and she's trying to deal with that right now. You have no idea the mental stability or lack thereof of a person on the job. It might be some, we've said that where people have said where they told a joke and the other person didn't find it funny at all. They were ready to smack them upside the head. Or boil a pot of water to scald your genitals. Do you know what temperature the human body can be scalded at? 120 degrees Fahrenheit. Do you know what temperature water begins to boil? 212 Fahrenheit. I'm going to throw boiling hot water on you because you moved my tablet. Dare I say, that is black culture. Remember the report that we had from the young lady a few weeks back where she said the black female came out, I guess they were in a meeting or something, and she had on a pair of turtle shell eyeglasses, and the black employee looked at her and mistakenly thought that I guess she owned a pair of similar glasses, and the black female employee looked at her and said, "Oh my God, you black hussy, I'll kill you. You done put your sooty black fingers on my glasses, and who do you think it? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. You didn't take my glass. Woo, I done made a mistake. I was ready to curse your black behind out so good I was going to call you every filth-florin, black hussy wench. Who do you think you are touching my glasses? And woo, you saved yourself." And then turned to the white man who runs the company and said, "Look here, did you see old Lakeisha in the corner? I thought she had taken my glasses. I was about to curse her until the sun went down. She was going to be every black wench, filthy, whoring, thieving, stealing, black hussy." And blah, blah, blah. This just happened. And I said, ain't no way in the world she would have done that if a white female, really, white transgender, white man, white disabled person, white elderly person, whatever, had came and had the same glasses on, maybe even had taken her glasses. There is no way. It would have been all that, I got to curse you out and blah, 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 and all this public spectacle and everything. Even today, I humbly submit anger management issues and all of that, immaturity of a 19-year-old, as all of us were at 19 and 18, there is no way black female Michaela Henderson, if this had been a white boy, a white girl, a white transgender, a white paraplegic, a white elderly person, a white gay, a white whatever you want to put in, there is no way I can conceive if that white person had grabbed her tablet or whatever else you want to think, car keys, whatever else, had grabbed them and hid them after she had hid something of theirs and they did the same in kind. I'm going to go grab a pot of boiling water and scald your genitals? I do not believe that at all. At all. Even the welsingness of it all. Like, incidentally, the victim there, 18-year-old Chris Jones, who they show all bandaged up and blistered up and all that, and they talk about all the recuperation and rehabilitation that he's going to have to go through, probably months and months, and probably going to be scarred for life. He said that she had been saying for, I guess, some time she would say, oh, I'm going to do something to, I don't know if she had threatened that, you know, these customers come in here talking wild, I'll throw boiling water on them. Pause. That is something to take very serious. Anyone who is talking about threatening violence against someone, take that sin. Really, in a work environment, that is not a joke. That is directly out of Gavin DeBecker, The Gift of Fear. That is not, even at the Taco Bell, that is not acceptable. A customer is coming, you didn't mess my order up. You didn't get the chalupa right. You didn't get extra cheese on it. You didn't give me my guacamole. That is not grounds, sir, ma'am. I don't care about your guacamole, and you got one more time to come at me cross. You see that pot of hot water? That is not acceptable. That has, in most environments, that would violate some sort of policy and procedure in terms of how you're supposed to conduct yourself on the job. That is not, he said, I didn't take her seriously. No, man, take that seriously. And that right there is why, oh no, we don't do no horseplay on the job. And even if she initiates with taking the shirt, oh no, nope, make that clear. I don't engage in any horseplay and messing around. We could get in trouble. We could both get fired. We could both be reprimanded. This is not acceptable. Same thing I just said. Let's be serious in the workplace. They have cameras. Remind them. They have cameras here. They could see that, like you grabbing material. They might think you stole something, or we stole something, or whatever. Let's conduct ourselves as professionals. Be courteous. Keep your hands off of other people's property. That would be the conversation. And hey, if we can't, respect each other's property and be professional, I'm gonna have to say something to the folks in charge. And I would let them know just in that way, like, hey, that, I'm trying to make sure we don't get fired. I'm trying to make sure that we can all get a raise and everything. We're at the beginning of our career and what have you, but let's keep our hands to ourselves. That way I don't have to go and say anything. They got cameras here. They should anyway. But man, that is, and I can't say it enough, that right there is black culture. VGQ, black love, love me some black people. All that is a crock. All of that is a lie, a flagrant and disrespectful lie. Really, a dangerous lie. It is setting you up to have your genitals burned. Male or female, that's what it's setting you up for. You go in the workplace, you work with all black people, you are code of it. That ain't no whoopee and celebrate. We ain't got no racist. Don't nobody have no regard for, if anything, if it's all black people in the environment, you for sure had better be codified. For sure had better. That means nobody there likes any black people. Very professional. Very tight-lipped. No, we're not talking about nothing, and no joking and playing around and horseplay. Are you serious? That's for any job. You starting out in your teens, you work till your 60s. No horseplay. No, I'm not playing around. I'm not touching anybody's material, and no touching of my material. I would even say try to minimize the likelihood of this sort of thing happening, where you minimize the personal property that you actually bring into the workplace, especially if you work a job where you don't have a specific work space. Like at a Taco Bell, you're not going to have your own cubicle for the most part, unless you're like the manager or what have you, but you're probably not going to have your own cubicle at the Taco Bell. You're not going to have your own office. Those sorts of environments, try to bring as little as possible inside the actual work facility. That way you can minimize if somebody's going to try to steal something of yours, move it, pranks, whatever. Try to. I am here personally. Maybe you bring your phone and you keep that on your person. I know for the young ladies, you would have a purse or what have you. If you drive, maybe you can keep that in your car. That way you can maybe secure it a little better, because you can put that in the trunk or what have you. You have your alarms and all that good stuff, so it's protected. But try to minimize the material that you bring inside, especially if you're in an unsecure environment. If you have your own office and what have you, that's a little different. You can bring your person and all that. You're going to be in the office. You might have a desk where you can lock things up and have you have a little bit more protection. But if you're at a Taco Bell or other jobs where you just don't have your own office, you're kind of working out in the open with everyone, I would not bring in all kinds of, this, that personal items. I would not do that at all. Racists are very nosy. It is very common to have this sort of thing happen where people, even people that are much decades beyond their teens, do the same thing. I gotta go and it'll be so funny. We're gonna go and put all your stuff up in the attic. All that old nonsense. Minimize what you bring in terms of personal property as little as possible, and then try and see if you can keep it on your person or at least with you. That sort of environment, I would leave all that why are you bringing your tablet inside the Taco Bell? You're not even that. Like, are you messing around watching Netflix, or have you? Why are you supposed to be making these chalupas? Leave the tablet in the vehicle. If you got to have all of this stuff, put it in your backpack. Maybe they have a locker or something where you can put all that stuff up. But I would not just have my property and items out available where people can see and come by and snatch your phone and all that stuff. Try to avoid that as best you can. I will make sure, I'm going to repeat what I just said. Even today, I do not think a black person, generally speaking, the odds are substantially lower that we're going to get in our brain computer, I'm going to go and dump boiling water on a white person at work because they've upset me in some kind of way. I say that today even when we had one of the rarest of the rare. We did have a black person shoot and kill a white person on the job. Rarest of the rare. That Mason, Ohio quarter lumberyard shooting with David Cohen, 25 shells found on the scene where they said this is a targeted shooting. He is suspected of shooting a white person. Now, I have no idea what happened there. They said that apparently Mr. Cohen may have known the victim, white victim, prior to working the job, and then he worked for a short period of time. They said Mr. Cohen resigned from the job. They said that it was an innocent resignation. There were no red flags. There were no signs that he was upset or might be some retaliation or there was a problem with him leaving. He hadn't worked there very long. And then he comes in and apparently just shoots this one person. And 25 shell, like, man, I'm very eager to see what all happened with this case. Mason, Ohio, was this some sort of personal thing? Had he said something? Was racism involved? But this is the rare of the rare. A black person killing a white person in workplace violence does not happen very often. Might be one that all of us can kind of follow and see exactly what happened and what led to all of that up there. I'll pause there, even though I didn't really get there were so many things that happened this week, so many to address all the different things. Again, just quickly getting in, black self-respect might be you addressing the heat in your workplace to stay safe. But that's it. We'll get to phone lines, emails, all that good stuff. The number again, 720-716-7300. The code 564-943#. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. The email untiljustice@gmail.com. Scalded genitals. How do you even explain that? I was working at the Taco Bell. My coworker and I, we used to do a little horseplay. We were both young, immature in our teens, and she threw my shirt in the trash, so I hid her iPad behind the Dr. Pepper. The next thing I knew, I was sitting out in the lobby on my break. I was eating a chalupa, and I was on fire. I couldn't believe it. Black culture. In Memphis, in Memphis, Dr. King, Ernest Withers, Elvis, rolling over in their graves. Let's see. Folks have commentary to share. Woof. Man, I was so ready to talk about Bite of Seattle and everything because they've been talking about that all week. But I mean, Jesus Christ. Man, black culture in the workplace on display all year long, painfully so right there. Let's see. Folks who dialed in with commentary to share. Our caller 2752 should be with us.
Hey, can I be heard, Gus?
Yes, sir.
Hey, God bless, Gus. Hope all is well. Want to say thank you for the rigor, consistency with what you do and counter. Thanks a lot. Appreciate you. Two quick things, Gus. First of all, speaking about workplace racism, I wanted to get your thoughts about, because majority of the people that I work with are, again, non-white. And whenever something needs to get reported as far as, hey, XYZ is not meeting this action item or doing this step, my superiors are usual suspects white. And there is this dissonance of non-white people so-called telling on, I wouldn't use Fuller's definition of the snitching, because I'm not volunteering information, but it's like there's this concept of speaking over or talking over when I could have, or we could have, spoken to these non-white direct reports. I wanted to know if you had any suggestions or advice there, because that's causing some tension in the workforce. And the second piece, Gus, it's a kind of a personal question for you, is as long as you've been doing this work, again, so inspirational, Gus, you are, not sure if you're familiar with the allegory of the cave and how, Plato talks about people looking at the shadows, and then when reality hits and actually these figures are not shadows. That's sort of my paradigm that I have with not white supremacy, but this concise, crisp definition that you gave and the implications that come with it. Truth, yes. Difficult to swallow, sure. What keeps you? I'm not even sure how to phrase this question, because you're not in a traditional workplace. You sort of run by your own hours, thank God. What drives you, Gus? I mean, I know it's counter-racism and replacing racism with justice, but what is when you came to that, when did you come to that, I guess this is it, when did you come to that realization, Gus? How did that shift the way that you lived your life, Gus? Were there any major shifts? And, how did you handle that sort of paradigm shift? I know you were talking to Fuller for a while, but sorry to rant. Appreciate you, Gus. Thank you.
Let's see. With regards to I guess he said not snitching, but reporting, we'll say. If other employees are not fulfilling their duties, or if there's some sort of problem in the workplace, and of course the usual suspects are in charge. Even he said he works with a whole lot of people who are classified as non-white black people. And he says, man, I guess some of the non-white people or the black people man, you talking to the man when you could have just came and talked to us directly, and count, snitch, and sell out, that sort of thing. Hey, they could be getting their pot of boiling water to soak your genitals. So, whatever. My opinion, I think I even just said with the boiling water illustration, you can, and I've heard Fuller talk about this, that can be a part of the counter-racist code, that white people are in charge. I can go and just report this to them immediately. Jamal is not doing the correct thing. He's been sleeping on the job. He takes 2-hour lunch breaks every other day, and it's messing up our whole workflow and getting our team in trouble. I could do it that way, and I would be totally within my right. Nothing, and that's not snitching. He didn't say he was going to do this to get more vacation days or to get a raise or anything of that nature is causing a problem for us all in the workplace. That's not snitching. I'm just trying to get a problem, something really, make sure I don't get fired. They might blame this on me. You can go and talk to Jamal before you go talk to the white person. I just said that with the Taco Bell. Like, hey, you could go talk to Michaela Henderson. Hey, we don't need to do all this horseplay here. You know, this is the workplace, and I want to get a raise. You want to get a raise, promotion, all that good stuff. Again, they got cameras here. We don't want them to see us messing around and hiding shirts and acting crazy. We want them to see us. We were making the guacamole. We were mopping the floor. We were operating the register correctly. That's what we want them to see so that we can get our raises and promotions and all that stuff, even at our young part of our career. I said, hey, that Fuller has talked about that directly. I've talked about that directly. We've had other non-white people say, hey, that is something that I try to do. If it's a victim of racism, even if they're causing a problem, I try and go and see if I can talk to them directly, if we can nip it in the bud before I go talk to the man, the woman, and have them deal with it. Totally legit. Although I do, that is totally legit. I try to recommend that, or at least suggest that, so that people can think about that as a possible option. But if you don't have a rapport with this black person and you think going to say this sort of thing might cause conflict, who do you think you are and talking to me and you don't come and tell me? I don't. And they go and turn to, let me go get this water so I can. You think you? Hey, you can totally cross that step out, and I'm just gonna go directly report this to white people, and not you need to fire Jamal or anything else, but just maybe we can get this problem solved so that everybody, and maybe he wasn't trained correctly, he doesn't know that you can't take 2-hour lunches, what have you, just so that we're all aware about what the expectations are so we can get this problem solved, move forward correctly. That's it. Like I said, it just kind of depends on the personality that you have and the people that you work with. If you have that sort of rapport where you think, and you have the personality where you think you can go and talk to these victims and get the problem solved without getting suspected racists to intervene to solve the problem, great. But the anti-blackness and hostility sometimes is so high, and sometimes people just don't have that sort of personality to go and do all that direct talking. Whatever, you just kind of have to figure it out yourself. Did that answer that first question? Not sure if you muted your line or not, but
I did mute. That does help. Appreciate you guys.
Okay, much obliged. I guess other folks can, because that's so. And that some people have said, they have their code where they will try not to go to white people unless they absolutely have to. Other folks have said that they just don't have all that, I got to go and give all of these extra chances to victims of racism who are doing unjust things in the workplace, especially if they're doing unjust things in the workplace that are harming other non-white people or causing problems for other victims of racism. Some people have said they just don't have that patience, and I totally respect that. That makes sense. However you see fit to get the problem solved, in my opinion. That said, but we are not a team, and I say that all the time. We're not a team in the workplace. In the workplace, for sure, it is united, independent. If any environment, it is the workplace. We are united, independent. I would definitely say again, make sure that we do not have any sort of thought process that just because this person has a lot of melanin, is classified as non-white, classified as black, even if they got 8 great grandparents all born in Georgia, that does not mean we are homies and we're on the same team, and even that they are interested in replacing white supremacy with justice. We shouldn't think that way at all. Anyhoodles, in terms of the other question, I don't really think that's labor per se. I'll deal with that down the road. That's what I mean by all purpose general questioning, but I'll deal with that one Saturday, where we do our Counter-Racist Weekly Review. Much obliged, dear sir. Our question 1, if other folks have thoughts about I guess dealing with, if you work with black people and they are not doing the correct thing, they're engaged in horseplay and coming in late, taking 2-hour lunch breaks, watching TV on the job instead of working, would you is your code? Is it to try and go talk to them directly, see if you can solve the problem, or you just say, forget that. That, could be conflict, and I don't have that sort of personality. I just go talk to the people in charge and have them deal with all that. That's what they're paid to do anyway. If folks have thoughts on that or how you approach that in the workplace, let us know. The number 720-716-7300. The code 564-943#. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. The email untiljustice@gmail.com. untiljustice@gmail.com. Let's see, we'll sneak in one email as we proceed. Email number 1. Hi, Gus, Cal's audience. Last Friday, Harry emailed me to say that our director, Harry's boss, had signed off my work. This is the young lady who thought that she was being undermined, and man, my work is not up to snuff, and I need to do better, and blah, blah, blah. And then the Harry person in charge came and like, wow, this is great. You've been doing all this hard work and such. We need you to come and talk to the powerful white people in charge. And she came and gave her presentation, and I was like, wow, this is awesome, this is incredible, this is great work. So to get that sort of confirmation when she had been undermined by a number of racist and unfortunately even victims of racism. As I said, we are not teams, homies, friends in the workplace. She's emphasized that it's been lots of non-white people, unfortunately, who have been undermining her as well. But that was her update from last week. She continues. The director said it would be announced to the board as completed. Very different from Tristan's feedback in my appraisal, where he was saying that she need to go and watch some of these old trifling white words. You need to go and watch Right Wing Ashley. See, she'll show you how to get it done. All the rest of it. She continues. Tristan then messaged me to say we would discuss the work on Monday afternoon, removing both directors from the communication chain. Removing the director from a routine follow-up is one thing. Removing Harry is suspect. Tristan was being slick, trying to insert himself and stop me from communicating directly with senior managers. I saw the messages on Monday morning. I decided I wasn't going to allow Tristan to block or sideline me or be the person who shapes how I'm perceived. Harry's boss sent a follow-up email about the work, and I replied with my thoughts and said that I would be discussing it with Tristan later that day. I also offered to present the project at the directorate meeting, to which my director responded that this was a great idea. I met with Tristan for our catch-up, and his tone was different from our previous appraisal meeting. He asked about the director's feedback and agreed with my interpretation. We then discussed what needed to happen next. We had a directorate meeting straight after. This is the meeting where managers can nominate their team members for a financial reward for their performance. Nothing. He did nominate Monique, my black sister, who was also commended by our director for her work. Keisha, my other black sister, nominated Tristan for being a great line manager and team lead. I have never seen anyone nominate Tristan for a reward, so I find it very interesting that she nominated him this week and for those reasons. On Tuesday morning, we had our team meeting. At the end of my update, Tristan suggested I join the AI Champion Project led by Nick, another team lead in Harry's division. Tristan clearly knew I had already put my name forward. It was all very performative and in a forum that doesn't count, apart from having other people around to pretend he's giving my work acknowledgement. I'm very sure he knows I presented at last week's divisional meeting, but he hasn't mentioned it. He doesn't want to give out no compliments. Nick, you're not going to wrestle no compliments from me. I said I'd put my name forward and jokingly added that Nick hadn't taken up my offer yet. Raj, who is junior to me and not currently using AI in his network, also put his name forward to join the project. He had been invited, and the first project board meeting was today. I said nothing, nor did Tristan. Monique and Keisha, my black sister were also on the call, and I got to observe their schadenfreude. I just used that term yesterday. They could barely contain their smirks as what they perceived as my humiliation and started messaging each other. They may have believed they were being discreet. They were not. This, another one, what I mean in terms of, now see, this sort of environment, I don't know if I would be as compelled if someone was called, if Monique or Keisha was not doing something, would I feel as compelled to go and talk to them directly and say, hey, look here, Monique, this is a problem, or you need to do this, and if we can't get this work done, I'm gonna have to go and tell the white people in charge, see if they can help us get this fixed. I don't want to do that. That's why I'm trying to see if we can get this done without having to do all that. I'd probably be way less compelled to do that here. There would just be no motivation. We're United Independent. You all are hostile to me anyway. Let white people deal with it. Save my time and energy. If I'm probably using AI more than anyone else in the directorate, so I have a lot to share, but Nick, racist suspect who does not know me, as his team recently joined Harry's division, is ignoring my offer. It would not surprise me if Tristan or some of these other racists, or even maybe they assign some of these victims to go and tell Nick, like, oh, no, you don't want that, nigger woman on your team. She's bad news. Yeah, she's just a headache, and her work is kind of sloppy. She tried to steal my glasses last week. I had to check her hard. You got to keep an eye on. Yeah, you forget her. Yeah, just ignore. We talked about this too, where white people will sabotage if you try and get a promotion or another job, and they'll go and mess it up for you. Very, very common. Another example of the Voltron effect could be, she continues, more unjust networking. Yep, I really don't care. There's no extra money for it, and it would be more work. Harry and our director are the people I need to impress, and I'll present my work at the directorate meeting in September, and that's that. Monique and I first met on one of the DEI initiatives for black staff. She was in a lower grade at the time. When she got the promotion to a role in Tristan's team, I was being managed by a racist ex-manager at the time. I reached out to Monique, congratulated her, and offered my support if she needed it. She knows who I am. There is no reason for her or Keisha to behave this way towards me. Oh, yes, there is. The system of white supremacy racism and centuries of when we in the program, that audio, my conditioning has been conditioned. That's the reason. That is centuries of how we have been that's centuries of black culture conditioning us to be hostile with it. 212 degrees. That's boiling water. I'm going to throw boiling water on a black person's genitals in the workplace. That is what we have been trained, how we have been trained to behave and relate to. That's the same thing with that black female sister who, you done stole my glasses. She was going, where's that hot water? I will curse you and then scald your genitals. Came out here and put your filthy black hands on my glasses. That's us. And the fear component, that's the other one, because I don't want to lose my job. I don't want them, Henry and them fussing at me and getting at me in trouble. So it's very easy for white people, the same as the snitch component in the prisons, it's very easy for them to manipulate our behavior. If you want this raise, you better not talk to her. They might even be telling them never, oh yeah, she's bad for this. That's what I've heard that on some jobs where white people have told black employees bad things about a black person, that this person doesn't like you, or this person is shiftless, or this person is a rapist, or whatever. Lie, and it ended up being not true, but just so that they could keep those black people hostile, discourteous towards one another. They're not going to have any sort of constructive relationship, even if it's not talking about racism, just to be courteous in the workplace. Like, oh, no. Disrupt that totally. That's what the system of white supremacy is all about. So, and that's another reason I would have that in my brain computer. Now, am I going to do a lot of engaging verbally with this person, if we don't have that rapport, if I think this person is a victim of racism, but they exhibit a high level of anti-blackness, or white people have tasked them with spying on that. Ernest Withers, I keep saying, white people have tasked them with spying on me, thinking on me, or whatever, or white people have lied to them and, told them bad things about me so that they don't like me and they don't want to talk to me. That happens. Oh, well, that's really to be expected in the system of white supremacy racism. So I wasn't thinking that we were homies. I wasn't thinking that we were going to have a bunch of, lunch dates and all the rest of it. It would be great if they thought well of me. If they don't, it's kind of pitiful. Really super pitiful that they're going to join in with racists and call themselves mocking me because I didn't get, this promotion or whatever. She thought she was going to get on the team. All that stuff, but to be expected. That's another one. I don't think we would engage in that sort of behavior if it was a white person who didn't get a raise or didn't get a promotion. We're not going to sit there and mock them and cackle online. We're not going to do it. It might be, oh, you'll get them next time. Head up, chin up. Here you go. Here, brought you Starbucks. Head up. You're going to get them next time. They was their loss. I think it would be the total opposite, but I could be, hey, I'm the one who says we don't go around boiling pots of water to scald white people. So, anyway, job well done. We'll wish you luck reporting and going out in September, I think she said, to give your report. Hopefully you will do an outstanding job. And I don't know if it's not any extra pay for the AI project. Whatever. They get it. If it's something cool to put on the resume, great, but I wouldn't lose. She said I'm not worried about it. I wouldn't lose any sleep on it either since there's no extra pay involved. Whatever. After you do the project, maybe they add you to the team or not, but keep it moving. I think correct to have correct expectations about the behavior of your black sisters. I think it makes it so much more manageable when these sort of slights and insults are not, oh my God, massive injuries, and I thought we were cool, and I can't believe you did it. Yes, I can, but in fact, this is about what I would expect from non-white people on the job, even if they're classified as black, unfortunately. Much obliged. The email again, untiljustice@gmail.com, untiljustice@gmail.com. The number 720-716-7300. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Forgot to say at the beginning, for next week, Neutralizing Workplace Racism, we will be on Wednesday. I'm supporting a victim of white supremacy, doing a project related to racism right here in Seattle. And unfortunately, at least for me, unfortunately, they're doing it next Thursday. For me and me exclusively, that is unfortunately. So I will move Neutralizing Workplace Racism to Wednesday of next week. It'll be at the same time it normally is, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, but just one day earlier. For Wednesday next week, I'll put up reminders and post it online so that people will not be all shocked and stunned, so that you'll know in advance. But we'll do it on Wednesday next week so that I can support a counter or an attempted counter-racist project here in Washington State next Thursday. But we'll have more reminders about that as we proceed. We'll be here tomorrow, Catherine Massey Book Club, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, 4th installment on Robert F. Williams, the memoirs, or it's the memoirs of Robert and Mabel Williams. We're on Robert Williams' section right now. You'll get to Mabel's second half of the book, but wow, it has been amazing. This is our mandatory read, even though the book club should be mandatory for all of us. This, for sure, our mandatory read of the year. It has been exceptional during the first chunk. Quite a bit of workplace racism there, too. He talks about his dad being on the work in the workplace, working with a white man on the railroads, and then his military service career has really been spectacular. And we are pretty much right at the very beginning. Session 4 tomorrow. Looking forward. And then our Counter Racist Weekly Review on Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We'll catch up on what has transpired over the past 7 days. Shooting under the Space Needle, updates on Nolan Wells, Daniel Irving, all the rest. That is Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That's it. Let's see. Other folks, if they have commentary to share, especially if you have, man, since these are teens, I would encourage if you, and it's summertime too, so we have folks out there who maybe have non-white, if you have nieces, nephews, daughters, sons, neighbors maybe even that are younger that you are concerned about, maybe you have some younger cousins, and this is their first summer on the job, or they're very early in their work career, like these folks, Michaela Henderson, Chris Jones in Memphis. Send them this report. Talk with them about this report and how you conduct yourself in the workplace, and really, more broadly, how you conduct yourself around people classified as black. Gus T. would submit, this is about what to expect. Obviously, that's not every person. I haven't heard any reports of Neely Fuller Jr. throwing boiling water on people. I haven't heard any reports of Dr. Cambon throwing boiling water on people. Haven't heard any reports of Dr. Francis Cress Welsing throwing boiling water on people. Dr. Marimba Ani all seem to be able to behave themselves for the most part, I think. But it ain't like this is no, what? I can't believe, no. I can, yes, believe that happened. Absolutely. At over nothing. Really, that's the hallmark. Over absolutely nothing. This wasn't over, you stole $10,000 from me. This wasn't over, you smacked my little brother or my little sister. This wasn't over none of that. You cost me a job and got me fired. You hid my shirt. You hid my iPad. That's black culture. Hostility, right? 5 seconds. If it's that much hostility, we don't need to be joking around. Minimize contact. Let's just conduct ourselves in a professional manner, as opposed to hiding your property and you hiding my property. Mr. Jones. Miss Henderson? Boom. Can you get me some more taco shells, Mr. Henderson? Absolutely, Mr. Jones. Anything else? Oh, nothing else I can think of. Thank you so much, Miss Henderson. Oh, thank you, Mr. Jones. That's the way we should be talking, not I'm hiding this and we playing pranks on each other. Oh, I can't stand it. That's about the size of black culture right there. And that's the way that you work to minimize exactly what I said. That's how you minimize all of that. Ain't no playing around. Ain't no horsing around. Ain't no nicknames. I'm not making up no little new handles for you. Doggy CJ. No. Your name is Chris Jones. I'm not even calling you CJ. Mr. Jones. I'm not calling you Michaela. That's your Miss Henderson. We just talk about it. You got the nacho cheese. We just talking about what we need to get these tacos done. You got the burritos. You got the beans. We just talk. You got the churros. They got them at Taco Bell now. They got the churros, the knockoff versions of them. That's all we're talking about. We're not talking about nothing else. I say that for the older people because these were teens. I say that for the folks that are in their 50s. We're not talking about nothing else. We're not talking about the football game. We're not talking about the soccer or the brain damage for neither one of them. We're not talking about politics. We're not talking about your vacation. Nothing but the job. Even then, we'll be ready to smack and scald you, but still, just stay focused on the job. And if someone is talking, that's why I said they're bringing guns and ammo. I got my bow and arrow out in the truck. I got my bat out in the truck. I got my pistol on my hip. I wish one of these customers, or I wish one of these coworkers, I wish they would come around and say something else to me. Boy, I will go out there and get my bat and warm your head up. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Write that down. That's one right there. That's the one the listeners ask. No, I'm not going to talk to them about nothing. Write that down immediately. Verbatim. What? I'm going to go out and get my bat? What's today? Thursday, July 30. What time is it? 6:56 p.m. Ralph, baseball bat. Do they have a baseball bat? That's why I said, like, what? Can we have weapons on the job? Water isn't a weapon, generally speaking, but man, can we have a firearm? A bow and arrow? Baseball bat? Can you have that at the Taco Bell? You got to ask. People that are talking in this way about being violent with another coworker or patron, customer, whatever, write that down. That has got to be a violation of policy and procedure. That's the sort of thing I would report in writing. Want a response too. Black Culture 2026. I will boil your nether regions. Worthy of great pity. Let us see. Retired firefighter should be with us as well. We did hear the report from the fire department where they talked about having the noose. I didn't say anything about that because, I mean, hey, we got boiled genitalia. I've been really soft-shoeing it, as they say, because I've been saying scald genitalia. They said she dumped boiling water on him. I already told you, it is a massive difference between scalding temperature, 120 degrees Fahrenheit. Boiling temperature is 212 Fahrenheit. Massive difference. That's it. We did hear that report about the fire department, City of Golden, where they brought in the Snoop Dogg elf on the shelf with a noose. And then lied about it. That might count as racist horseplay as well. That's another reason. No horseplay on the job, because you might work with all black people and all the foolishness that we do, and I'm going to go boil your gonads and all the rest of it. Well, racist man, racist woman, they love a prank too. And you might end up, you mess around with the pranks with racist man, racist woman. Well, now we got Snoop being lynched in the fire department. Oh, I just playing. We play around. You know, we joke around, don't we? We mess around every day. We joke and TikTok and all that. We mess around. I'm just messing around. Be professional on the job at all times. Any job, you are there to make money, which is serious, and to learn about, do your best to minimize racism, white supremacy in the area of labor. That is also a very, very serious endeavor. You find a Snoop elf doll on your job, whip out your phone immediately and take great pictures, maybe even video. See if you can get today's paper as well. So it's dated. They know exactly when this happened. All of that. Have that for your records. That should be a violation of policy and procedure as well. In fact, that would be one I would report as an act of violence, because it is a lynching. Simulated. Let's see. Retired firefighter in Florida should be with us as well. Chef, commentary on the workplace.
Greetings, everyone. Greetings, Gus. I didn't hear about that one, but I came up with one that I saw, I think yesterday or day before yesterday, involving firefighters who, and the article, I'll put it how they wrote it down, shocking rookie firefighters with a modified bug zapper. And they identify that activity as camaraderie building, not hazing, which is actually a true thought. Actually, the true thought that takes place. I read the commentary, and it was a lot of commentary, and almost all of it was similar to this ridiculous statement that they use, talking about camaraderie building. Basically, and I identified as complaining about the effect of going on tragic calls, and I got to have something to relieve me of what I witnessed. So when I come back to the fire station, I would behave in that particular type of fashion that relieves me, and it has white people written all over it, as far as that's concerned. But that was the one that I came across. Also, did you say something about if anyone has suggestions about a worker that is not performing correctly on if you would, what would you say to that person?
A caller asked about that, where they said if you have black and or non-white coworkers who are not performing, not accomplishing their tasks or not getting their duties done in an appropriate amount of time, what have you, do you talk to them directly about it, or do you go tell white people? What would be the best way to try to handle that sort of situation? Gay folks, if they had thoughts on that. Okay,
there's a lot of depend in my point of view. If it's a young non-white black person or non-white person, and I had the time to kind of measure their attitude, their behavior, I might say something to them that has a lot to do with my own personal personality. That's why I was a high school football coach for such a long time, to be able to do things like that. And I use sports or football as a platform to be able to do that. But it would have to take a lot of studying of that person. If it's a white person, if it was a white person, if they were a part of, with me as a quote unquote team in the job, I may say something to them from a professional standpoint, not so much as a younger person, older person. It would be from a professional standpoint that I would basically, quote unquote, pull them to the side and say something to them if I'm involved with them in a team thing, which actually would affect me by their performance. I may do that, or go right to the authority figures about them. But and last but not least, what was that thing? Oh, the boiling water. That's a crime. And I understand the authority figure, they did right about anger management, but other than it's not being murder, it's the next step of mistreating somebody to do something like that. It's not going to, in other words, it's not necessarily going to kill somebody if you throw that boiling hot water on their private parts. But that it's the next thing below murder, so I identify that as a crime. And I don't. You may have read it, but I didn't hear anything about what they did to that person as far as from committing a crime. Maybe I missed it. Maybe I missed it. But yeah, that's basically what my report is on what I've been listening to. There's a situation that made the news about hazing on the college campus, but it's kind of like iffy on whether or not that's relevant to today's program. Although one of the victims actually was my Metro-Dade firefighter, who they had to intubate him, trying to become a member of a fraternity. I don't know how that connection came up, other than he may have been in grad school or something like that. But that's basically all I have to say. Thanks for listening.
Much obliged, retired firefighter in Florida. I believe you did miss it with regards to Michaela Henderson. That's the Memphis case where she has been accused, charged with burning a coworker, black male coworker, with boiling water. She was released on $5,000 bond. She has pending court proceedings. But yes, she has been criminally charged. She was arrested, all of that, and she is facing criminal prosecution for her act, as she should be. So we'll have to see how all of that unfolds. But that would also be something to think about, that yes, this is criminal activity where, in addition to being terminated, you might have to serve prison time or whatever else, having a prison record and all the rest of it. So yes, very bad decision all the way around, and there will be legal ramifications, unfortunately, for her. Got one person's input. That was the same thing that I said earlier about, do you have rapport with this person? If it's a non-white person, do we have rapport? You mentioned, is this person younger? Where I'm trying to see if I can maybe share some lessons with them to help their development very early in their career. Other folks have talked about that too. What sort of attitude do they have? They seem like they're amenable to, hey, I can make some changes, make some improvements, and this person's trying to look out for me, that sort of thing. Or they, you don't talk to me. You're not the boss. Who do you think you are? You don't come. Never mind. Go to the man, the woman, and see if they have all that lip and attitude when white people come to let them know that they are not behaving or carrying out their tasks appropriately. Let's see. Rapport is a lot in that situation in terms of how you relate to the person that you're going to talk to or not talk to. Report, that is. Much obliged, retired firefighter in Florida. I did locate the article about the so-called hazing with the fire department down in Florida. 3 Florida firefighters fired, 2 suspended over bug zapper hazing investigation. This is in St. Lucia County. 3 St. Lucia County firefighters were fired and 2 others were suspended after an independent investigation found senior firefighters. Now, see, that's what I said. They didn't say these were teens. 15, I could be an error, but I don't think they have too many 19-year-old senior firefighters or even 23-year-old senior firefighters. My suspicion is that these folks are probably a little bit older, might even have a gray hair or two. Same thing I said before. You have a lot of folks who are in their 50s, 40s, 60s. They're engaged in the exact same unprofessional, uncouth antics in the workplace. Just they've been doing this for a long time. It continues. Senior firefighters used a modified bug zapper to shock newer employees in what investigators concluded was a hazing ritual. Jordan Hutchinson, Christopher Baldwin, and Douglas Budrias were terminated, and Robert Tapia and Kayla Gammy received 48-hour unpaid suspensions. WPBF reported, according to findings released by St. Lucia County Fire District. Investigators found that Hutchinson, Baldwin, and Budrias, who served as acting supervisors at various times, used the modified device on junior firefighters under their supervision. These 3 were also accused of bullying and harassment. That's about what I've been. Even that, like a bug zapper, like that's like you're gonna get some sort of taser, like and Why is that? We work on the fire department. We're in Florida, man. They have heat warnings and all that. We're supposed to be going out and helping people who are having heat strokes and all the rest of it and cardiac arrest because of all this humidity. And then it's like, you see, what is, and then again now, that is white culture where we would get all of this from. And because this is so rampant in the workplace where they got the hazing and we got to do something to you if you're a new employee, or we just, this is the environment regardless. Even if you're not a new employee, we just like playing tricks and pranks and jokes on the people that work here. That's why you want to conduct yourself as serious. I'm not doing no hazing. I'm not doing no pranks. None of that. I'm not doing no jokes on other people that I work with. None of that. That is not conducive for a safe, constructive way. Imagine if somebody had ended up in cardiac arrest. You didn't zap them with the bug zap. Are you serious? All the people that eat Funyuns and Cheetos, Lunchables, pork, pepperoni, cheesesteaks, cheddar cheese all day long, and you going zzz, zzz, zzz. I forgot my heart medication today. Come on. And we are the people that they call to do CPR and all that. I know some fire departments, they do CPR and first aid training. Why are we the ones leading charge? Got to do some bullying. You join the fireman, we got to give you a pounding. What? What kind of nonsense is that? And even, what is going on at the fire department? They shocking people with the bug zapper. You hanging effigies of Snoop Dogg. Like, why don't you go get the cat out the tree? How about that? Go hand out some snow cones in the neighborhood. It's hot. How about that? Racism and hazing. Keep it professional. Again, even if you work with all black people, be professional in the workplace. You are not about hazing and tricks and jokes and hiding things and nicknames. Be serious in the workplace. Do all the pranks and all that stuff. Really, all that should be done by elementary school. Like, what is all that? What is all that? I'm trying to get a raise. Again, I want to be thought of as management material, executive material, promotional material, raise material, bonus. I do not want that. That's what's going through their brain computer. Like, oh yeah, he was out with the bug zapper. Do we give him the promotion? He zapped me good with that bug. I do not want that going through as a victim of racism. All the goofy, dumb pranks that I've run and how many times I slipped laxative in the chocolate for this year. Like, none of that. None of that. Much obliged. The number again, 720-716-7300. The code 564-943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. The email untiljustice@gmail.com. Again, we'll be here on Friday and Saturday and Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. White guest on Sunday, rolling through summer of 2026, hopefully constructive for victims of white supremacy. If other folks have thoughts, commentary to share, especially what your personal code is for dealing with non-white coworkers who are not abiding by policy and procedure, or maybe causing problems in the workplace by how they're doing their job or not doing their job, let us know. Do you go report it to white people immediately? Do you try and talk to them to see if you can resolve it amongst yourselves Let us know if you have a policy or a counter-racist code about that, or other important, I guess, strategies, tips for minimizing anti-blackness in the workplace so that you do not have your nether regions scalded. Any tips? That would be grand. We'll give folks 5 minutes or so, see if they have other thoughts to share. Let's see. I'm not sure. Our caller 2752, did you have a thought to share? Not sure if you're muted or just listening. Did you have a thought, question?
Oh yeah, real quick. I'm here. I wanted to get some clarity. I'm hearing the immediate word. It was never there, because in my mind, that time I was asking, like, I know I don't want to immediately run to the usual suspects of who my superiors are. So it wasn't really an immediate thing. There is rapport there. It's just, at all, do I say anything to these white folks? Because I do want to train, develop my people to be the best that they can be, and we have a job to do, and so I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. So it even hasn't really happened yet. And I don't want to get to that point, because I hear how non-white people speak on the job. They wouldn't say this to white people in front of them, but the man, the woman. And so, so it wasn't an immediate, like, hey, you didn't turn in your XYZ, let me go tell Karen or right-wing Amy or Ashley, I forget her name. It's just, I know that who I need to answer to, and when things aren't done, I don't want it to feel like, well, Jamal didn't hand in his document on time. And I find myself sometimes, maybe that I shouldn't be doing this, Gus, taking the blame when things don't get done, because I have enough data to say it's somewhat of a pattern. So I just want to clarify, it's not an immediate thing. Well, I'm going to go tell right-wing Ashley. It's just something that I'm really, dealing with, especially since coming across your work and just really, really living by the code and what it means to interact with non-white people and white people daily. That's it, Gus. Thank you.
Much obliged for the clarification. I guess and this is just me, I would not take blame for other victims of racism in the workplace just because it's not true. I think victims of racism, we get blamed for all kinds of things that we did not do, that start O.J. Simpson and all the way down, Barack Obama, me, that's all day long. Non-white people getting blamed for things that we didn't do. I don't think, even for, if you were talking about the maximal development of your black coworkers, if that's something that you really are sincerely interested in, I don't think, being deceptive about who's at fault in terms of work being completed, I don't think that helps for maximal development, because if you get promoted and they replace you with somebody new, they might replace you with a white person. They for sure are not going to operate with that same thinking that, oh man, Jamal didn't get all the work done, I'll go ahead and take the blame. I'm a white man and I know they won't fire me. So no, I was a little slow this week. I wasn't feeling well. The bite of Seattle got me traumatized, so I couldn't do my best work. But we can they're not going to do that. In fact, they're going to be the first one to throw Jamal under the bus. So that might be, depending on the rapport that I had with Jamal, try to see if you can go talk to him. And it doesn't have to be a threatening conversation. It doesn't have to be nasty, especially if y'all have rapport. If you don't, still, it doesn't have to be nasty and such. Just white people, our employers, they do have expectations with regards to deadlines or a certain way that we're supposed to get work done, and you need to get this if it's a deadline or whatever the deficiency is. Jamal isn't doing the work or is not getting it on time. This needs to be addressed, because white people are going to inquire, and they might eventually pinpoint that you're not getting this done on time, blah, 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 could cause problems, mess up you getting a raise, promotion, whatever. If you just started, hey, this is where you can make some improvements. If you need help, blah, blah, blah. If, you have rapport enough where you can offer assistance to help you figure out, is there a difficulty? Are you having an issue? Were you not trained correctly? It could be a myriad of things. But just trying to see if you can figure out what the issue is, but letting them know this is going to need to be corrected because this problem could be pinpointed to you and cause issues for your promotion, raise, whatever. If they're not receptive, I say, and it doesn't have to be presented to white people as a Jamal is the lamest ever, he needs to be fired. Like, it could just be a training situation where maybe Jamal hasn't quite been trained, he's new, so maybe he needs to get a refresher on blah, 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 or blah, 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 just make sure that he's got a correct understanding for how we carry out this particular assignment. That might be all it is, but I definitely would not take the blame for other victims of racism on the job. In fact, it could end up spreading beyond Jamal. It could be that lots of non-white people there have not been trained correctly or not performing adequately for lots of reasons. Reveal truth. I'm big time about revealing truth in the workplace. And I think for non-white people who are not working correctly, we've seen enough, at least I have seen enough of that, where sometimes this is I'm not sincerely vested in making these changes for whatever reason. So, VGQ, you can figure out the best way to kind of move forward with all that. But I would not take blame. I would try and talk to the person to get this, especially you said, I think this has been a pattern of behavior. This isn't a one-time thing where it seems like consistently non-white employees are not doing their work or not performing tasks in the way that they are supposed to as dictated by white people in charge. Like, oh yeah, that needs to be, and that might even just be another component of racism. I keep bringing up training. That happens all the time. I mean, it certainly could be Jamal is lazy, your coworker just doesn't want to do it, but man, it's lots of times where non-white people have not been trained correctly, and so this is like a sincere, they really are lacking proper information about how to get this job done in a correct manner or in a timely manner. That's where the bottleneck is happening at. So that, at least in my opinion, that would be another reason to address it honestly, because it really might be, we just need to get Jamal trained correctly, and then this problem will be solved. Now, if it's something else, white people can deal with that too. But frequently, white people deliberately mess us over and don't give us proper information, don't give us the proper procedure and policy procedure manual and all of that, so that this sort of thing happens. I don't think that means you should be taking the blame for Jamal, though, if all that makes sense. If other folks, if they have maybe a thought, suggestion, if you have dealt with that sort of thing before, in terms of non-white people where they might have some deficiencies in their work, and how you get that problem solved without getting the non-white person fired, but maybe getting them retrained, or just so that they know they have some things that they need to work on. It might just be that they're a newer employee and they're still on their, learning curve, getting it all together. Could be a myriad of things, but I think that can be, at least it would seem, if we were in a just world, that could be addressed without anybody getting fired initially. We get the problem solved and move forward, see if we can make some changes, some improvements to getting our work done. See if other folks, if they have any suggestions. Again, I'm just iterating for the record, because we've talked about this before, and we've heard from enough non-white people where they say, I really don't waste a whole lot of sleep over reporting things. I don't go out of my way to get non-white people fired, and I don't present things in a manner to get a non-white person terminated or reprimanded. But hey, frequently black people are not responsive to black people in the workplace. Let's go talk to the person that we don't get uppity with, white people. Let's see. Other folks, if you have thoughts, observations on this issue specifically, and or your own situation in the workplace, feel free. Let us know. 720-716-7300. The code 564943 #, press star 61 if you would like to participate. Make sure I did not miss anything from the reports. The young lady they were talking to some of the grads. That would be another one, showing young people, since that was a 19-year-old and an 18-year-old in the boiling water on the nether regions. I would show that to if you have young people just starting their career. I would also get that report where they talked to some of the 2026 college grads, and they were talking about kind of some of their perspectives and what they were thinking about employment also at the beginning of their work career. And they said that the National Association of Colleges and Employers found that less than half of the class of 2026 graduated with a job. Less than half. That would also be something to consider big time. You are a non-white person, and they didn't even have a breakdown white, non-white. Half of the people who graduate do not have a job. Wow. That would even make me think you got a lot of young white people who are graduating college and they don't have a job. They just spend all this money and all the cronyism and nepotism and racism, white supremacy. They don't have a job. What does that look like if you are a black person and you're graduating? And you got all that debt, and even if you didn't pay all that debt, all that time and energy invested in what? That young lady who graduated from Howard, she went through business management, and she's having a difficult time getting employment, having to stay with relatives and seeing if she can get a job. And I said, man, one, I thought, they said Howard, I thought Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, but then I said, damn, I thought the great Sean Diddy Combs, I'd give his inmate number, but I forgot, I thought he went to business school at Howard. Then I confirmed, yep, sure enough did. He didn't graduate. He didn't walk with the cap and gown and all that, but he did spend years at Howard Business School. I don't know if he has some tips he can share, fellow Bison alum, the great Diddy. But, man, I mean, I don't know. You go through business management, even if you're HBCU or another institution, as a black person, whew, I could see that being something in this environment. Oh man, I could see that being very difficult to get a job. Like she said, she was having a hard time getting a so-called foot in the door, like I said, having to stay with a relative and doing her retail job in the meantime. I could see that for a lot of people classified as black. That's what I mean. It would have to be a lot of studying, thinking, research. I'm going to go invest all this money and time and energy to get this degree for what? Like, what is the job market going to look like in my specific field in 5 years by the time I graduate? What does it look like right now? Are they hiring at all even? That would be a lot to process. You do not want to waste all. If you're just going to be working at some goofy retail job that you could have done without a college degree, why waste all that time and energy? It would be a lot to pry. If you have a young person, like that alone, by the time you talk to your child about racism, white supremacy, labor, sexual abuse, whew, you don't even have time to do all that TV watching and all the rest of it. Like, my goodness, you got so many serious things to talk. Even in fact, before your child is born, just preparing to discuss all of that. That should be a part of your 200 questions too. Anyway, if we got younger folks, when I say younger, like Michaela Henderson, the young lady who boiled the water, about her age, 19, 18. If we have younger folks in that age bracket, early 20s, mid 20s, just either hitting college, graduating college, and beginning your work career, what does it look like in a context of white supremacy, racism? Let us know. If you write in, drop us an email, untiljustice@gmail.com, on what your experiences are, all of that, in terms of doing the interviews, and are you getting call backs, and just how has your labor interests, your career path, how has that changed just in the last 5 years since COVID in the context of white supremacy? I would be very interested to know if we have younger folks in that age bracket. Let us know. You can drop us a line, untiljustice@gmail.com. We can share. Keep it anonymous if you would prefer, or you can dial in. We're on weekly, same time, for Neutralizing Workplace Racism, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Pacific. let us know. As I said, I'd be very interested in hearing from some of the younger folks about how they are tolerating all of this. Let's see. Privileged black male tumbling dice should be with us. Do you have commentary to share, sir?
Yes, Gus. I have a question. I have a question for you. I had filed a complaint against a race soldier with using my voice against me. So what happened was they did the school district, they did their investigation, but they hired an outside person to do this investigation. So the investigation came back, and they say they did not find him. They did not find him guilty per se based on preponderance of the evidence, but in the investigator's own words, the investigators, she said in the write-up that people under this man's supervision have some serious concerns about how he treats them. So basically, on one hand, they're saying, well, they didn't find nothing that he did improper, but the investigator said that when she interviewed other witnesses, which is, some of the witnesses that he had supervised, they said they had some serious concern about his conduct and how he treats employees. Now, I had filed because I had filed a complaint because he had told my union rep, and I found out in the investigation that my union rep was doing some unjust networking too. And this union rep, she's a non-white, non-black employee too. But I found out through the investigation, and it's always good to you could get a discovery. I mean, you could find out who are your friends and who are your enemies. But I found out during the investigation that this union rep was working with this race soldier to undergird me, And I found out that she was the one that told the race soldier, "Oh, we need extra people to come to the next meeting because he might go off and commit violence." And then the race soldier told her, this all in the investigation, the race soldier told her, "Well, I'm scared of black people, so you should bring extra people because he might go off too." So all this stuff comes up. But what I say all that to say this is that I'm going to take it to another level now. I'm going to take that investigation they gave me, and I'm going to file a complaint with the state, the Civil Rights Department, because on one hand they're saying that, well, we didn't find him guilty, but the people that you talk to say they have some serious concerns about how he treats people. So, and my contention is that this race soldier had used my voice against me 3 different times. He had written me up about my voice, insinuating that, I'm expressing violence through my voice, and that's not the case, So, but I just wanted your opinion of it, because I'm gonna file a case with the Civil Rights Department either way, because I believe, I thought under the premise of where they smoke, there has to be some kind of fire, I mean, I hate to use metaphor, but I'm that's the only way I can explain it to you. But thanks for letting me share, Gus.
You have reason to suspect improper behavior. That might be one way of saying it without a metaphor.
Yeah.
That is using. Did he have a quote of what you said that was allegedly expressing violence? Are you accused of having threatened somebody, or?
No, none of that. He just said that I have a tendency to he just said that have a tendency to raise my voice at other employees when I'm talking, that type of thing, and I never raised my voice to nobody, But the thing is, he's suspected racist, and he has a pattern of that, because one of the supervisors that left had told me that he witnessed him being racist, so he has a pattern of that, and the supervisor said that he's not even qualified to hold that job. The supervisor that left, he said that he only got that job through a handshake, because of the other people that used to work there that allegedly were his buddies, But no, I never expressed any type of anger or anybody towards somebody. But for some reason, this guy just don't, just feel intimidated, So I just wanted to know, from you, what I'm going to proceed on either way with the additional complaint with the Civil Rights Department, because I have reason to believe that if he is, other people say they have some concerns about him, he shouldn't even be working. They should say, okay, well, since other people have concerns about you, then maybe we need to do an additional investigation into what this investigation said, to make sure that these concerns is not conflicting with your job duties, That's how I'm looking at it. So, that's my contention on that.
At the last portion of your commentary there, Tumbling Dice, I agree. I think you should proceed with pursuing this is, I think, a state's level civil rights legal complaint report. I would the last portion of what you said, we're addressing this, in my view, not as an act of racism, that he's a racist, even though we're in agreement, for sure, suspected race soldier, for sure, but pursuing this as, are there violations of policy and procedure, particularly if they have an independent investigator, he examines this, and apparently in his own writing or her own writing, the investigator finds that other people have concerns about his work and how he treats them on the job. That right there is vague. Like, let's be specific. Are these concerns related to violations of policy and procedure? What exactly are the natures of these concerns? And since we're talking about children and the school environment and driving and all of that, and some of the issues you've raised before, are any of these issues related to safety? And if so, again, let's not be vague, itemize them specifically. And then we can see if they have any direct relevance to what you're charging. Now, I don't know if the component about all the racism where you said the union representative is a non-white person, non-white, non-black, I think you said, but she also seemed like she was going along with it, hey, them niggas are dangerous. We need to bring extra folks. Old Tumbling Dice, he might come in here with his whole posse and shoot us all and grab us and, have us locked up and stolen and kidnapped, them black hoodlums. And he said the other supervisor person said, oh, yeah, the niggas are they're crazy. Yeah, go on, bring as many folks as you can. We need extra security with old Tumbling Dice.
Exactly.
If they got all that.
Yes, and see, the other thing I did I write a letter to the union because I'm paying them money. I'm paying them out of my check, too. So I wrote the president of the union, and I told him specifically, I have in writing that your employee was working hand in glove with working in collusion with these people to harm me. And I said, I'm thinking about taking legal action because technically it's malfeasance, because now I'm paying you money out of my check to protect me against these same type of issues. And now I have here in clear as day that you are working with these people. You know what I'm saying? So I'm getting grind on both sides, you know, with the union and this race solely.
I would make that all a part of the report because it seems like that would be a collective participation from the group, not just one individual, but even the people that are supposed to be there as a resource to support you are, as you said, operating in collusion and with the same thought process. Black people are not even just you. Black people, the racism, like black people in general are violent. And they didn't even say Negro males. They said black people, all of them. The children, the females, grandmothers, all of them. Dangerous. And we need to have security. And I'm going to bring as many extra people as I can because that old Tumbling Dice and his cousins, they're coming here. Man, all that. And that's even a part of why I said before, document everything, because this is just a part of everything that you faced for the last how many ever years, and you stole the cone and you stole the weed whacker and all that you're violent, that you are, and that you specifically, you are verbally violent where they don't have any reports now. And particularly I would line up all of those reports, how many ever it is, I would line them all up. How many times I have been accused for all of these different acts, that they said I was going to blow a white person's head off, that they said I was shooting dice on the bus, that they said I was drinking Mad Dog on the bus, they said I stole the traffic cone, they said I stole the weed whacker, and on and on and on and on and on. I don't remember any of those allegations, somebody saying that, hey, old Tumbling Dice came out here and what? You said I stole the weed whacker? I will blow your brains out. You in here, Lana? When? Nobody has that. They came in and said that I stole the cone. Who? You come out here and tell me I done stole the cone. I will knock your head off. You don't tell me. I will Mike Tyson. Who? I didn't do any of that. I was professional. I was calm. I filed a report. I did not threaten anyone. This has been a pattern of, now, at minimum mistreatment, you could say, but a pattern of mistreatment where I've been wrongly accused of all sorts of dastardly acts, including violence, and there's no evidence. The weed whacker, the threatening staff, none of it. All of it is unfounded. All of it is wasting time and energy. And then you contrast that where you have employees, not just one, you have multiple employees who are reporting, we have concerns not about Tumbling Dice. We got concerns about this white supervisor and how he's treating us. Why is he being investigated and called in to answer for his conduct as opposed to me? Y'all ready to go through my trunk looking for a weed whacker that's not there? I would file a report, and all of that would be a part of the report in terms of this is a general atmosphere where it's consistent, standard operating procedure of false allegations against you that are totally unfounded, and then they just continue. They don't do anything to stop this misconduct. And then other people, they aren't even qualified, apparently, for the nepotism and cronyism mentioned again. Other people who aren't even qualified, they have allegations leveled against them. It's not even investigated. We don't even specify the charges, just some vague thought that some of the employees think you aren't really the coolest person to work with. What? Come on. And that is a really common one where, because either they will say, you speak loudly as a black male, or you don't laugh and participate in all that goofy jokes, come around here, do your Snoop Dogg impersonation for us. Come on, do it. We love when you do that. Because you don't do all that. I'm serious. He even said, hey, I come in early in the morning. I don't even hang out with you all. Y'all done accused me of all this and tumble like that. I come in early. I don't hang out at the coffee machine. I get my work done, and I'm out by myself. Who does he think he's the old tumbling? You don't even hang out with us, man. He don't even do coffee with us, man. But I'm violent. I totally endorse filing the report. And then if you have any of the video, that's why I said make those requests. You are an employee. You are legally entitled to all of the video footage they have, all of those instances where they've labeled false charges against you, saying you did this to a teacher or this to a student and all that. I would add that in with your report. You have lots of evidence about this being widespread and the absence of evidence that you have been violent or in any way violated conduct. You've been a model employee and they just been practicing racism and harassing you the whole time, unjustly. Lying, in fact.
Mm-hmm.
I would file for sure, I would file the report. Again, I would not accuse them of racism, because I think white people, they will immediately go to work to sabotage and undermine that charge. But if you just charge them with really subversive behavior, and they're not following policy and procedure, unfounded allegations, and then subversion of policy and procedure, because you got other employees saying that they're being mistreated, just interrogating the nature of those allegations, finding out if it's true, and then this is a widespread pattern of injustice and mistreatment of you, where you are not being treated equally under the law, you're not even being treated equally in relation to other employees, and then they have no evidence. They just keep coming in line and making up these charges with no evidence, and then nothing happens. They unfounded. He didn't steal the cone. He didn't steal the weed whacker. He hasn't threatened violence against any employees. Nothing happens to stop any of these false charges. They just come in with a new round of false allegations the next week. I would file, let us know how it proceeds, how they retaliate. Keep in mind, it's probably going to be a long process, and it'll probably be their white cousins or white brothers that you're reporting to, but I would absolutely file, and yeah, let us know, updates, all of that, so that we can try and learn, see if other people, if this might be a course of action that they can choose to file about mistreatment in the workplace, see if they get any relief.
Okay, Gus. Well, thank you, man. Thank you for the input. I really, really appreciate it. And then sometimes I get frustrated, because sometimes, you get mistreated, and then you go file, you take your time out to do the report, and then you go to the office to civil rights. You got to turn it in to a person at the desk that's white, and then they turn it in to another person that's white, and then they forward it to another person that's white. So you see, sometimes that's why victims don't file these reports, because they look at it through that prism. That they say, why even file? Because you file, person you're going to turn it into is white, then the other person is white. But I'm not going to let that deter me. I'm just going to file my report either way.
Absolutely. That both in terms of, I think that is important to be honest with yourself. You're probably going to be handing this report into a racist, or what he said previously. Hey, it could have been that you're handing this report to someone who looks like your union representative, who is a victim of racism, non-white, but they also think black people are very violent, like tumbling dice, and we need to bring in extra security to make sure. So even if you're handing it to someone who is non-white, there is no guarantee that that person will not have anti-black attitudes and thoughts about you, black people in general, non-white people in general. So just try to do the best you can. And that even is another reason why I say I would not accuse the person of practicing racism. White people generally will band together immediately to sabotage any sort of charge of that nature. But if you are charging that, hey, this is a violation of policy and procedure because they just keep lying with all of these unfounded charges, they have no evidence, I have lots of evidence, and then you have other staff who are being accused maybe of violating policy and procedure themselves with all these mystery concerns that are not precisely enumerated, violate really constitutional violation where you're not being treated equally under protection of the law, 14th Amendment. But yeah, I would file, even if they at least it is on the record, and you can use all of the previous incidents, camera footage, other reports, all of that as evidence of what you're saying about a pattern and practice of incorrect behavior, and then not correctly enforcing policy and procedure in the school. So yeah, I say file. Be honest, I'm filing with racist probably, but I'm still going to file, just so it's on record.
Well, thanks, Gus.
For sure. Let us know how things proceed. Give us the updates and such. Our caller.
Okay, Gus, I will.
For sure. Our caller at the courthouse in Florida. Did you have commentary that you wanted to share with us before we wrap things up?
Oh, yes, sir. May I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Greetings to Gus, the host, the listeners and callers. I just had 3 reports, observations I'd like to share. The first is, I think this was, or maybe other victims may notice this as well, of how white people will practice racism. So since they're building a new civil courthouse building downtown, a lot of the white people in power have been trying to find out ways to, I guess, discard some of the older ancient records. I'm not sure exactly still on how they're going to do it, but they've been tossing away some of the older files. I'm not sure what decades or whatnot, but maybe like the early 1900s or 1950s, things like that. So I wanted to begin with that to show the context of, there was a white intern, right, that came in around like maybe April, from April to May, and he a white guy, he was, I guess, helping to get this type of act started out, like throwing away the files or tossing them and, you know, doing things of that nature. And I guess they're going to be making some of these files digital, scanning them. I'll be just paying attention to see what they do about that as time goes on. But he, being classified as white, he got like a job at the hospital, okay, like in maybe a month or two. So he was in and out of there just like that. So next thing you know, they have a black male who was already a full-time employee in there. I suspect it's 2 black males that are maybe like in their 20s, they're younger, that I think that they have, at least from how they announced it, helping to do more with trying to, I guess, relocate these files or toss them or throw them away, something of that nature. And they've been doing it a lot more than the white person has. So I think I've been thinking of this in a way of them putting a white person in that position. So if a black person or a victim of racism presents like a report or some type of thing that, you know, they've been mistreated or something's been done incorrectly to them that they aren't asking other people to do, they'll say, well, hey, you know, we had this person who was the intern. They may not even use the word intern. At least that's how I notice things where I work at. They'll just say, this person was doing this too, and what are you talking about? And they'll do that to try and silence like a victim of racism, a black person who wants to report that kind of mistreatment, that they don't tend to treat white people in that way, because this was a white person that was there like maybe 30, 40 something days. He was like, all right, I'll see y'all later. And, you know, we just, you know, said, you know, see you or whatever, you know, and he was just gone. And I've never seen that kind of job opportunity for a black person just come in, be an intern, and he goes and get like a job at a local hospital, you know, near the University of Florida. So I wanted to begin with that one. I think white people will use, or they'll put a white person in a position to where they'll have a black person doing that kind of task, something more, I guess, physical or whatever, being that we're at the courthouse, laborers or whatever, and they'll say, well, we had a white person. They'll use that line of excuse or whatever. And the second one I like to talk about, Gus, is there is a new white person. Well, he's technically not new. He's been there since last November 2025, and he still is being incompetent, like not really catching on much. And I think, you know, him also being white, and I think he knows someone from I guess like I'm trying to think of what term the victim used, like a white person that's a Mason or whatever, but he's just classified as white. He knows this person, so I guess some kind of cronyism in that nepotism. So this person is not really catching on well in the department in civil, and there's nobody really approaching him. But I think it was a black person who didn't even get a chance to make it to that probationary period to get the job to become staff assistant 1 and then go up to 2, 3, and 4. So I wanted to mention that. And this person, I think, might have some kind of issue too with maybe, I don't know, maybe like smoking or something and things like that. And he's just not learning well and can't seem to really follow instructions. But the guy still is working there, from what a victim shared with me. And the last one I like to share is there's a black supervisor, a black female, sat in front of another black person to this white woman, young white woman, that, hey, you know, you're in violation of the dress code, pretty much, and saying that, you know, you have to go change or whatever. And we'll see what the HR lady says, who is somebody else that's another white person. And she ended up saying that, I guess she disagreed with the black person and how she assessed this white person. I think she's white. If it's the person that I'm thinking the victim shared with me, I think she's a white person, and they weren't as assertive or aggressive as they were with the black female who sat next to the black supervisor. So with the black female, she went over there like, hey, you know, y'all told me to go home, and she had to go home. I think it was 2 times. I think something related to dress code, and it is important to come to work, you know, with proper dress code and whatnot. But the white chick, she was able to come in and have that kind of, I guess the white sympathy and another white person accommodating for them breaking the rules and going, you know, and violating the policy. So she just said to the black person, like, well, we'll just at least give her a warning this time and something like that. And she was like, I ain't even getting a warning. I had to go home. So she told the black person, another black person, to send the black person home. And, you know, I really wanted to share that because these 2 black people, they are in what you would call like a, like I guess I use the term like high rank, high upper tier or whatever, top area, like top positions in the civil area. But they went to a white person, and the black supervisor wasn't able, I don't think she was able really to use her ability to be a supervisor to make that decision. It looks like it was put in reverse or something like that. Like, you know, the white chick didn't even have to go home. So I wanted to share that because I think a victim, I think she learned more on that, hey, you know, this person is a black supervisor, but, you know, she still got to still go and speak with the white HR person in a higher position. And she took up for the white person, but decided quickly toward the black person. And that's all I have to share. Thanks for the program, Gus, and thanks for allowing me to speak.
Much obliged, caller at the courthouse. That right there, another illustration of why I've said for years, and again, I am a dude, and a dude who is not known for having the flashiest, most fashionable wardrobe. That conceded. I have said for years, like years before we even had a separate program for neutralizing workplace racism, regardless if it's summertime, wintertime, whatever the temperature, wear the same clothes to work. This is not, hey, this is my red carpet moment. Get your IG shots ready. I'm stepping out, boy. Every day it's come, what he got on today? Wish he went to nut. You just wear the same thing every day. It's not, you don't have to wear the exact same clothes, but 5 same shirt, 5 same blouse, 5 same pair of breeches, clean every day, professional, appropriate for the job, but just, come on, just not know all this. I'm styling and I got to show off my paraphernalia from school and all that. Just be professional. And he had even shared before, I remember, he said, I think it was a black female worker who she had noted that some of these white females were violating the dress code as they do all year long. And he said, oh man, they letting, Susie and Rebecca come in here and wear whatever they want to. I'm going to do the same thing. And I said, I wouldn't do that. There you live illustrate. We just talked about this literally months ago. And I said, I would not do that. I would note if you see white people who are violating the dress code, if they have a dress code and they're clearly violating it, date, time, what did they have on that was incorrect, all of that. I would not take that as permission. I also will wear whatever offending clothing that they have on. I'll wear the same thing or something similar or whatever. I not at all, and think that I'm going to get away with it in the way that they would. I would just note are all of the rules enforced in an equitable manner? Everybody's subject to the same rules or no? Are we all subject to the same dress code or no? That's when obviously the answer is no, as we found out today, but as we should have known to begin with in the system of white supremacy racism. And then you can see it flagrant. I mean, that's flagrant too, to have the supervisor like, let me go ask this white person. I don't want to. And even the vindictive, seen that too, the vindictiveness. Oh, we got to send her home. Like, look at that. Look. I've seen that sort of thing as well. You got to send her home. Quick, black person, got to send her home. She violated. Oh, yeah, she got to go. The white person, matter of fact, he's talked about this before as well, where there's a discrepancy in enforcement of policy and procedure. I think they have a cell phone policy at the courthouse. You're not supposed to have your cell phone out and iPhoning it all day and texting it. Hey, do your job. That's the policy. Not be all distracted and YouTubing or whatever you're doing on the cell phone. Where he said the same thing. If it's Lakeisha, Leroy, and they got their cell phone, then hey, we got right here in the policy and procedure. Put that cell phone down. Put it in. They'll embarrass you out in public. And dang, my fault. I'm sorry. White people would have their cell phone out and they won't be, Rebecca, put that phone away. We told you. They'll just come and give a very, now, everyone, thank you so much for your hard work. I know it's hot. We've got a lot of things to do, but just remind everyone we do have a no cell phone policy, so make sure we don't have our cell phones out. Thanks, everyone. Have a blessed day. Like, you done cursed Leroy and told him, you didn't even call the person by name when it was a white person. System of white supremacy racism. But that's why I said he's talked about that goofy dress code like a billion times. So he's got I think it was one woman, she was with the leggings for Christmas. You don't tell me, but no, a white woman, you don't tell me what I wear leggings if I want to. And other people say, I wear what kind of risque clothing I want. You don't tell me what to wear. I wear whatever I want to. That's sort of no problem. Victim of racism, you just make a notation in your workplace journal. Are we following policy and procedure here or are we not? Policy and procedure, is it just for non-white people or is it not? Do victims of racism, do they get a warning about policy and procedure or is it punitive immediately? Equal protection under the law. That's exactly what Neely Fuller Jr. Spoke about. And that don't think just because you're a supervisor that you are in charge. Now, really, that right there, who is in charge? She said, I got to go to HR. That I don't think HR is a part of the colored section, the segregated area in his workplace. He told us about that for years. We got the segregated section where they pile all the dark folks at. I don't think HR is a part of the segregated section. I could be in error. I've never been to the courthouse. I thought that was fascinating. He said they had the white intern who was in the records place, but he worked there for like 40 days. And then, assalamu alaikum, I came up, I'll be working at the hospital. Y'all have a grand old time. Deuces. And then they got replaced them, and they got some old black males, threw them down in the dungeon, probably got asbestos and whatever else, threw them down there and said, hey, you all do the records and such, where it seems like maybe this is Negro work. The white people, we don't want to go down and do all that. It's musty and it stinks down there. And maybe they do have asbestos. We don't want to do all that. That's Negro work. And say, hey, you don't just assign black people to go and get the musty and dusty ancient records and all that. That's equal. Everybody can go there. We don't just give it to black people. We've had white people do it too. Now Troy worked down there as well. Well, wait a minute. Troy was an intern. He said they leave that part out. They don't call him an intern. They just say, now Troy worked down there too. Everybody does it. We don't just restrict it to black people. Troy was an intern. Troy worked here for like 5 days, man. He don't even work here. Even that is real slick too. So everybody, Troy worked there. Intern. Troy worked down there. Because that doesn't even technically count as an employee. That's almost kind of a volunteer type thing. That's why Troy left quick, like deuces. I got my aunt work at the hospital, and she hooked it up. She said they were treating me like a Negro over here, got me working down in the dungeon. You don't treat my son, or excuse me, you don't treat my nephew Troy, have him in the dungeon. And they replaced him with the black. That is hilarious. Anyway, before it got into all the racial components of it, I was thinking that is kind of important, because he's mentioned those ancient records before. And sometimes they'll have a lot of racism about, who got to own property, and if they restricted black people from owning property and all of it, or wrongfully confiscated property, as has happened many, many times. That's kind of really important stuff. Like, man, I was thinking, I hope they get that like saved. Maybe they'll make sure that they get digital records of everything before they just get to tossing stuff out. Like, Jesus Christ, that is massively important. People come in and are looking for records and all that. Shouldn't be any reason why they can't go ahead and digitize everything before they just start tossing stuff out in the rubbish, in my opinion. Anyway, and the incompetent white man. I can't forget, because they already had the incompetent white man who moved upstairs. My sick white brother in spirit, who is unprofessional, doesn't know how to talk to people. It seems like they hired his brother or cousin, who also is incompetent and has shown no growth development over his time working there. Say he doesn't follow directions or anything. How in the world can they pile up all these white people? They got the white person who didn't even do the interview, went and got her pedicure done, got the white person he said they hired, said, oh, she's going to need a lot of hand holding. They had the white person who didn't even know how to turn the computer on. Like, what in the Christ? You get all of these no-count bums, white bums, who got relatives or whatever, homies and frat brothers and sorority sisters who work in HR and can bring all their grandsons and nieces and neighbors and get them jobs, and they're not even qualified. Listen to that, man. I don't know. I've been working here 5 years. I was hoping I was going to figure this job out. It don't get no easier any day. What? Like, what? Why didn't y'all didn't have no way? He also told us they had the black female who worked there for 20 years. Couldn't get no type of promotion. Nothing. Been hanging out same spot 20 years. He didn't say she was incompetent and stupid. I suspect he might have told us. Maybe he held out. He didn't say she was dumb. She didn't know how to turn on the computer. She'd been handheld for 20 years because they got some old flunky black person who can't spell Florida and just let her hang out on some affirmative action. He didn't say that. She'd been working there for 20 years, probably overqualified for 20 years. And they got racks of all these old incompetent white people who can't do nothing. System of white supremacy right in your face. Hang out there. And he said he got a smoking problem. Jesus Christ. Is he smoking in the courthouse? That's what I was thinking. Like, Jesus Christ. Is he sneaking off to the custodian's closet and smoking? Like, what is going on? What is going on? Woo. Incompetent, that right there, that would be one to talk to your offspring about as well. Incompetent white people in the workplace and all of the problems that they create. That's another reason I would never accept responsibility for somebody else's errors or laziness in the workplace, because there is already enough of that. You already have so many white people not doing their job, and deliberately so, and shirking their duties off onto Leroy and Lakeisha and Jamal and Devontae, Tamika. No. I'm not taking that. Everybody stand by their work or lack thereof. Ruthless policy for the workplace. If you work with white people or non-white people, everybody stand by their work or lack thereof. There's so many incompetent white people that they're going to be lazy and shirking. Oh, Jamal didn't do that. You know, he didn't come in this week. Nah. Stand by your work. I can't say enough for the GO chain. We had all those reports talking about the summertime, and I know that can mess with people's wardrobe. And man, you don't dress up and all that. Have outfits in mind for the warm weather where you are still professional, males and females. Even if it's not shorts for the males, I'd say you probably want to stick to that. Unfortunately, even if it's warm weather, because I keep seeing reports where they keep saying the same thing. You're not supposed to wear shorts in the workplace. You're not supposed to wear shorts unless you teach. That's like all I keep saying is unless you teach gym, unless you are a teacher or a coach of some sort of, you coach the football team, then you can wear shorts. Unless that's your job, you are the FIFA official, then you can wear short pants. Any other job, you are not supposed to be wearing shorts in the workplace. You wear a short sleeve shirt, pullover, not short pants. Any hoodles. We will do it for tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Catherine Massey Book Club, Robert and Mabel Williams. Workplace racism there too. Robert Williams said, I want to be a journalist. We don't allow Negroes to work at WRAL. That's public radio in North Carolina. They allow Jesse Helms to work at WRAL. Jesse Helms, suspected racist. We'll hear about him, but Robert F. Williams, we don't allow no Negroes on the air at WRAL, North Carolina. Sobriety would be best under conditions of white supremacy. We need fully functioning brain computers to solve our problems. Creator, we ask, remind us, stop saying not all white people are racist. Protect your nether regions from boiling water in the workplace. I bet you, I triple bet you, there was some name calling before that scald. You boiling water got tossed on Brother Jones' genitals for Brother Chris Jones' second-degree burns in Memphis. Creator, we ask that you remind us, stop name-calling and cursing people classified as black. Even if they didn't hid your iPad, certainly do not throw boiling water on black people. It has been time. Replace white supremacy with justice immediately. Cows signing out. Thanks all for tuning in. Please do not throw boiling water on black people's genitals.
Nigga, you so brainwashed. I'm a victim, brother. Problem. You're a victim. Man, I'm a victim of 400 years of conditioning. Shut up. The man has programmed my conditioning. Even my conditioning has been conditioned.